Good morning, everyone. My name is Kat Campbell, and I'm an enrolled member of the Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska. I come from you from the ancestral lands of the Pueblo people in Albuquerque, New Mexico, on the Southwestern Indian Polytechnic Institute in Albuquerque. I'd like to welcome you to the U.S. Department of Interior's Tribal Colleges and Universities event. It's the roadmap to a career at the Department of the Interior. And today I would like to be able to share with you and let you know that we have a lot of great speakers today, and I hope you stay with us today. And first of all, we'd like to introduce through video our secretary, Deb Holland.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Department of the Interior's Destination DOI event. I'm honored to join you from the ancestral homelands of the Anacostan and Piscataway people in Washington, D.C. Today's event invites you to explore the incredible careers at Interior and learn more about the hiring process. And believe me, there are so many interesting and important jobs that people do here at our department. One of the most important parts of my jobs is to support our team, the scientists who study wildlife and climate change, engineers who help our country develop the energy that powers our homes, lawyers who help us meet our responsibilities to indigenous communities, and park rangers and land managers who keep our public lands clean and safe. And that doesn't even cover half of it. We want to open up the doors of opportunity for you. When I was growing up, I didn't even know what a job in conservation was. It didn't occur to me that I could be a national park ranger or a national wildlife refuge manager. I never saw anybody that looked like me in those roles. Every person deserves to know more about the awesome careers that are out there and to know that they belong. Not all of us have a clear and easy career path. I raised a child as a single mom and didn't go to college until I was 28. I've held jobs from creating my own salsa business to serving as a member of the President's Cabinet. I'm living proof that you belong, that your lived experience is an asset, and that anything is possible if you set your mind to it. President Biden has tasked us with building equity and inclusion into all of our work across the government, including federal employee recruitment. I'm very passionate about this. It's how we make sure that the solutions we build and the services we provide are accessible and serve every community. Representation matters, and by having all voices represented within our workforce, we can build a more inclusive future for everyone. Today, I encourage each of you to explore, learn, and ask lots of questions. You might hear about something that sparks your interest, and then our teams can work together to match you with your passion so that maybe one day we'll see you here at Interior helping us to accomplish our mission. Thank you for coming to today's event and have fun learning more about Interior careers.
That was a very good message from our secretary, and I agree with her. I'm a program analyst in the Office of Research Policy and Post-Secondary, and my passion is tribal colleges and universities, and I'm so fortunate to be able to work here. I would like to now introduce our director for the Bureau of Indian Education, or Bureau of Indian Affairs, Director Daryl LeConte.
Thank you. My name is Daryl LeConte. As she said, I am the director of the of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I'm a member of the Turtle Mountain Chippewa tribe. I normally don't say that when I speak, but I wanted you all to know that the Bureau of Indian Affairs is primarily run by enrolled members of federally recognized tribes. And it's an honor and a privilege for us to serve our families, our tribes, our friends. How lucky are we? I've been with the Bureau of Indian Affairs for 34 years. It's been a fantastic career. It's never boring. We do all kinds of different, multiple things, and we do them all. It's never boring. We just get to do as many things every day that's different from the day before. And it's really been a fine career. I'm very happy that I get the opportunity to talk to you because the primary audience here today are Indian students, and you are the future of Indian leadership, whether it's with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, with tribes, or with other federal organizations. And I want to take the time today to tell you the opportunities, the career opportunities that the Bureau of Indian Affairs holds. Nobody ever took the time to do that for me, so I had no idea how diverse the Bureau of Indian Affairs was career-wise. I start just about every meeting that I have with this, and today I thought I would do it for you. We're an inclusive organization. We're very diverse, tribal-wise, career-wise. We don't discriminate, we don't harass, and we don't retaliate. And I live that, and I encourage the people who work for me to live that life as well. It makes for a healthy organization, and an organization that people want to be a part of. And again, I feel very fortunate to have been with the Bureau for 34 years, the last 4 years of them as the director of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And I'm going to point out the career opportunities, the many career opportunities that are available to you. And I encourage you, if you're ever going to take any notes, anything I say, I encourage you to take them now, because like I said before, nobody ever took the time to tell me what opportunities there were. We do law enforcement services. We do criminal investigation. Fortunately, we have detention programs. We do social service programs. We do child protection and welfare. We have engineers that work in a variety of fields, in transportation, in water resources, in construction, all kinds of things like that. In transportation, we build roads, we maintain roads, and we have a variety of land management opportunities. We do real estate services, which encompasses everything from land titles and records to just land management. We do forestry, which is forestry and fire. We manage the forests, unlike no dig on the Forest Service or anybody else, but we are active in managing it. We work with the tribes who own these forests, and we do what they ask us to do, whether that's sell timber or just manage it, do fuels reduction, all kinds of things that go along with forestry. We have fish and wildlife biologists. We support tribes, and we also do some direct service in hatcheries and those sorts of things to ensure the sustainability of fisheries. We do water rights for tribes. We have many dams on Indian lands within our lands. We have engineers that manage the Safety of Dams program. We have irrigation projects that we manage or assist tribes in managing. We do range management, which is a very large program that handles livestock grazing and range management, conservation. We have agricultural programs. Many Indian lands are farmable. We have irrigated lands, we have dry lands, and we have grasslands. We do geographic GIS. You guys all know what that is, more so than I do. And information technology. There are career opportunities there. We have environmental and cultural resources programs that we assist tribes in those, and we make sure that we take care of what we're asked to take care of and what we're responsible to take care of. We have climate adaptation. We have fish and wildlife and recreation. My time is probably close to up, but I just want to say it's an honor to serve. And again, we're lucky to be able to serve the people that we know and love, our families, our tribes, and the individual members of those tribes. So I encourage you to take a look at your career path and strongly consider any one of those fields that I mentioned and possibly more. It's an ever-changing environment, and I'm again very happy to have the opportunity to talk to you today. So thank you very much, and I hope this program here goes very well over the next couple of days. Thank you, and have a good couple of days.
Thank you, Director LeCompte. Next, I would like to welcome my boss and role model, Mr. Tony Dearman. Director Tony Dearman has been with the Bureau of Indian Education, starting as a teacher and worked his way up to the director. So there are so many possibilities. Welcome, Director Dearman.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. I am Tony Dearman. I'm a member of the Cherokee Nation from Oklahoma, and I want to welcome the students, recent graduates, and other community stakeholders. The Bureau of Indian Education is very excited about this event, and we encourage you to be part of the DOI and BIE teams. Your dedication and perseverance have made you an inspirational role model. If you are looking for a way to support your local community or want to embark on a new chapter, BIE covers 23 states and has schools on 64 reservations. We're always looking for passionate educators, administrators, school staff for our K-12 and our post-secondary institutions. As Dr. Campbell stated, I started my career as a science teacher for one of our tribally controlled schools, and with the opportunities for advancement, I am now the director of the Bureau of Indian Education. There are opportunities throughout DOI and BIE for all interests and passions. We really want you and to really take a hard look at BIE and other professions within the DOI, because our communities need people from our communities that understand what our tribes are going through. We look forward to the event and want to wish you luck in your future. Enjoy the event, and we look forward to you joining one of our teams. Thank you, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you, Director Dearman. Next up, we have a video at DOI. There is a space and place for you.
Oh. Woo!
After
Sinyakuke. Aloha mai kako.
Aloha. Hi.
Hi everyone.
I love working for the National Park Service.
I like working at Interior.
I love working for the Interior because it allows me the opportunity.
It gives me the opportunity
to be a steward of our sacred sites.
To restore native forests.
Talking to people face to face.
To provide valuable and meaningful service on an international and national basis.
I know the work that I do directly affects those wildland firefighters on the ground.
To share my island's history and Chamorro cultural heritage
with locals and visitors alike.
We are helping the United States fulfill its trust responsibility to tribes.
We don't lose sight. Firefighters exist, and what we do supports them directly.
Provide a great opportunity to build myself personally and professionally.
And help bridge that gap between science and my local community.
To connect, protect, and share our Hawaiian cultural values.
To assist tribal leadership across Indian country in protecting their people, preserving their natural and cultural resources, and restoring their lands.
We are a pro-development office. We help tribes develop their renewable and non-renewable energy resources. By doing this, we are assisting with tribal sovereignty.
It's an honor and a privilege to protect and preserve these sacred sites for future generations. In this way, we are all connected. Mitakoye Oyasi.
That was great. Great to see all those people. Next, we have Kevin Burke, who is the HR Transformation Lead from the Office of Human Capital. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well, and good afternoon to some. I wanted to go ahead and discuss our the platform that we have for you here. So the this is going to be this is our main website here, and to get to it, it's careers.doi.gov. And so we have a lot of information on here. I'm going to go ahead and this is our homepage. What we have is a section called featured occupations. And we have all of these occupations are areas where it's really fast growth. So if you're looking to get into an area where it's absolutely booming, that's where we're going to host this. So I'm going to click on one of these pages, and I'm going to go through here with you. I'm not going to actually play the video here for you, but just what we did was on a lot of our occupation website pages. We actually interviewed a lot of people that are in this position and compiled the video for it. So that's actually to give you an idea from people doing the position currently to what you can actually be expecting, what things that they wanted to know in the beginning, what things that they learned as they moved throughout their career, and overall things that they feel is exciting about the position. So I encourage everyone, just explore the website, explore different occupation pages, and explore the videos. You're going to find a lot of really useful information in there. Believe me, there is a lot of things in there that I saw that I had no idea that some of these people actually do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. A lot of very useful information. It reads just like any other application page or occupation page. So we have an overview, what bureaus are applicable to it, candidate description, things like that. I'm not going to deep dive into all of these things. Just know that we do have them available for you. And then here we have the strengths by level. And this is really huge. We spend a lot of time working on this. And what this is that at various levels of your career, so if you're starting out at entry or mid, these are going to be some of the different skills or what we call competencies or strengths that you would actually should be obtaining or should have as moving out through your career. So just give you an idea of things that you're going to be looking for as you're moving throughout your career and things that you probably want to have when you're starting out your career. And all of these are different for every single page. The next section is going to be our common pathways. I'm actually going to cover this in a little bit. So keep in mind, I'm going to dive deep into this. So just keep in mind that we're going to be covering this. I'm going to go over it in a lot of various details. And one other area that we really are excited about is where are we? So where we are is this is just a map, and this shows everything of all natural resources. But let's say that I wanted to narrow it down and say, I want to see everything that's in BIA. We can do that. And maybe I want to narrow it down even further and say, I want to see everything that's in Colorado. Can do that as well. And the map will update here for you. And so you can actually see everything that's in positions that are currently filled. These are where people are currently working in Colorado. You can do that for all of the positions, all of different locations, all of different bureaus. That's just to give you an idea of where positions might be. If you want to explore a position that you're currently interested in, where are they currently located in the United States, if they're not telework eligible, which we'll cover at a later point as well. And then now I can tell you, I get a lot of, I'm the one who actually manages our email inbox here. So I can tell you, I get a lot of various emails about how to apply for a position. So I would like to cover that for you here. At the bottom of every single occupation page, you're going to see an area where it says explore the possibilities. And each of these links will take you to the USA jobs applicable for that certain occupation. So that's all you'd have to do. Is once you click on this link, you're going to be sent over to USA jobs where you can go ahead and fill out and apply for that certain position. Now, I do know that a lot of you are students or either in the middle of your education or maybe just getting out. So what I want to do is I'm going to touch base on this briefly because I know that another presenter is going to cover more on internships at a later point during today. So I'm just going to touch base on how to actually get to internships and how students can navigate. So what you want to do is you want to go to resources on our page here. I'm going to click that. And here there's a lot of information available for you, not just for students, for if you're a vet, if you're a student, or any other type of resource that you might need, all of it's going to be under our resources tab. So we have, as you're seeing here, just a lot of different available information. The next thing here is going to be student and recent graduates. Now, I know that Kelly's going to be covering a lot of this information later, but just know that that's how you're going to get to it from our page. And so you'll see there, student recent graduates, she's going to be covering the Pathways program. She's going to be covering a lot of this information. So I'm not going to dive deep into it. Just know that that's how you're going to get to it. I hope I didn't go too fast on that. If there are questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We're going to be covering those later. The next section here that we're actually going to cover is going to be on the Find Your Path. Okay. So the Find Your Path. Now, what this is let's say, for example, that you are have started your career here. You're not entirely sure where you want to go, how you want to get there. Maybe you want to explore different opportunities. Maybe you want to move up in your career. We have all of that available for you. And so we've tried to consolidate a lot of that information here for you and make it easily accessible and easy to navigate. So the first thing you want to do is click on Find Your Path. And I'll show you, there's another section here, as we saw, Find Your Path on that. This is on the home screen again, and I'll lead you to the same position or same area. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click Get Started. Now, for just this purpose, we're going to assume that you are a entry-level employee. You've already started with us, and you want to either explore different opportunities or move up in your career. So I'm going to say yes, that you're a current federal employee. And just for sake of testing, let's go ahead and hit explore additional possibilities. All right, what is your current position? Great question. Let's say a student trainee, physical science student trainee. Okay, GS level or WG. Some of you might not know what that is. What these are is essentially at what level you are in your career. So the higher GS level is the more advanced you are in your career. And the same thing is for WG. So GS is more on the office side, while WG would be on the more manual labor side. So just to kind of keep that in mind, they essentially mean the same thing, just kind of two different labor categories there. So I'm going to click 1 because we're an entry-level employee. We want to just see what options are available to us. I'm going to click 1. And now I don't know if I want to work indoors or if I want to work outdoors. Let's click both. Okay. So we have, what level of education have you completed? Well, I am still in school. So I'm trying to make this as applicable to you as possible here. So let's say I have 1 academic year of post-high school study. Let's click that. All right. And then how much experience do you have in your selected occupation? Well, I'm still a student. I'm a trainee. We'll click 3 months. And what are your top professional strengths? Now, if you're fresh out of high school, or you're very, very early on in college, or maybe you haven't graduated, it's probably not. You probably don't have a lot of career experience. So let's pick some things that you might have, you might currently have. Let's say customer service. And so just to let me back up a moment here. So professional strengths. So what we're trying to do is navigate and answer these as honestly as possible for what strengths you currently have or what skills you currently possess. So I think customer service is a good one. Attention to detail. I know that's something that most entry-level positions should have. We'll say maybe you're a creative thinker. And let's say that you get along with others and you're really good at teamwork. Okay, so let's see what results we get. I click see results. And so, as I was saying before, this is where the common pathways is going to come in handy. So we have the top matches. So these roles were best suited on you for the information you provided. And so let's look at why did we actually get these results. So we have, most people that were a physical student trainee also had these skills. And we provided some additional filtering where we were given the common pathways, most often made by DOI employees, and preference is given to roles that most closely match your current education and experience. So essentially, what we're saying here is people that were a physical student trainee and moved to other positions, whether it be police or a guide or an engineer, they had these skills that we already said, and they also had the same amount of experience. So 3 months, they were a GS1 or maybe a little bit higher, and they moved to those positions. And so that's the beauty of being able to have a lot of this information handy, is we can consolidate it and be able to present it to you in an easy fashion. So we have our results, right? We know we know where we can potentially go. Let's check one out here. Let's say we're going to look at an engineering architectural student trainee. So we're going to we clicked on that, and it's going to be very similar to our natural resources position. But now we can actually explore it. We said, all right, we want to, this is where we're going to go. This is the route that we want to take. Now, keep in mind, again, the strengths by level. So think about the areas of opportunities that you might be needing, where, you might need to have more flexibility or interpersonal skills, things like that. And as you see here, 50% of people that left from a physical science student trainee made it into an engineering or switched to this engineering position. The other 50% came from admin and office support. So that's exactly how we get that. So that's where, when you're looking on every occupation page, that's the information that you're going to see available to you, is going to be the how we're going to like all the common pathways is how that information is presented, was from people that actually moved from position to position. We're not just making this stuff up. This is real. These are real people. Okay, and you can see here, where are those positions available? So if any of these apply to you, I'm not sure where most of you might be located, but if any of these do apply to you, these are where all of the positions are currently located. Now, let's actually touch base on the explore the possibilities. So if we have a student trainee, let's click on that and see how it brought me to the USA jobs. This is the position that is currently available. And what's this? It's applicable to students. It's like I planned this. So this position actually is available to students. And on another note, this position also is eligible for telework. So it is determined by the agency policy, but that's actually where you're going to notice that information. So I know that Kelly's going to be covering some of that information, but the things to keep in mind is when you see this symbol, that means that if you're currently enrolled in school, in high school or graduate, or includes internships, these positions are going to be highly valuable to you. So if you want to, switch from navigating our career site to the USA job site and just see what positions might be open to students, this is how you're going to see that information on every single page. Okay, so we've gone ahead, we've explored, how we actually navigate our website, how we get through the, how you can get to the internships, what things are available to you, and then how we actually can go ahead and apply for a position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll back here, and then I'm going to bring us back to our home page. And I'm going to click back to our home page. And then I wanted to just briefly go over some of the more information that we have here. I know that we have a little bit more time here. So the next thing here that you're going to notice on our homepage is just a few quotes. I'm not going to go into all of those, but also the featured resources. And that's where you would see this information. So, and then also the position locator. The other topic that we're going to cover is, if you, let's say that you're not necessarily sure about the Find Your Path, maybe you want to just explore all of the careers, those options are available to you as well. So these are going to be, we've done extensive work on, and we're continuing to create not just our occupation pages, but also our position pages. You might be wondering, what's the difference? So an occupation page is something like an overview, while a position might be a specific role within accounting. So that could be, you could have like an accounting director or an accounting tech, something like that. While accounting is just kind of just the umbrella. That makes sense for everybody. So what you want to do here is you're going to see when you click on Explore Careers, and again, you can navigate that from the home page as well. You're going to, if you're not sure of what positions to apply for, you can go ahead and click let's dwindle it down to all entry-level positions. We have an accounting technician, we have an archaeology, but we can also do this by bureaus, by setting, and also by strengths. So a lot of the information that we were covering in the Find Your Path, you can also have here. If you don't want to actually take the quiz, you can filter it down through here, or you can do what I do and just explore all the different careers. We also have the search function available for you. And so that's just quickly and easily available to you. Now, if on any chance you do have questions, maybe after this you are exploring the page and you're not entirely sure of where to go, or you have questions or concerns or anything like that, don't worry, fret not. We have Contact Us. And so all you have to do is just click this. Will open up the direct link here for you. And you can go ahead and just email us. It'd be more than likely me or one of my colleagues following up with you. But we do our best to follow up with you within less than a day or so. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, we try and definitely have all responses followed within about a day. And so I know that I can, if we're able to present my my slides. Otherwise, I would like to open this up for questions. Do we have questions? I know that was a lot of information, but I want to just make sure that we're good.
There are a few questions, Kevin. This is Priscilla. There are a few questions. Many of them have been answered in the back. I'm looking to make sure that there are not anyone that we've missed or repeats. One of the questions is, how do deadlines work? When is the best time to apply for the positions?
That's actually a really great question. That's something that I get in the inbox a lot. So I would say personal preference is, if you see a position available, apply. That is the best recommendation that I can give. There are going to be, on some positions, they tell you when you go to, let me move my screen here. When you go to USA Jobs, in this position, they'll actually tell you if there's going to be that all applications need to be submitted by a certain date. So you'll actually have that information available to you. In terms of, if they don't have that information, the best thing you can do is apply. Don't hold out on not applying. I would say if you don't want to miss out on an opportunity because you didn't apply. That's a really good question.
Okay, we have another question. Will you go over the standardized assessment tests that are included in the application process in USA Jobs, please?
So that's a little bit, I think someone else, I'd like to ask the panelists here if they are going to be covering that. at a later point.
Yes,
Look into.
we have someone, OPM will be covering navigating USA jobs later on today.
Okay, yeah, so that information is going to be covered at a later point. That's a really good question. I know that it can be sometimes difficult to navigate or difficult to understand. But once you get the hang, honestly, once you get the hang of it, and you understand a lot of the terminology that's being used, it breezes by. That's a really good question. I like that.
Okay. One question again. I graduated next semester. Oh, I'm sorry. She graduates next semester. When do recent graduate positions open up next semester? Or when is the best time for her to begin to apply for the graduate positions?
So I think that if I understood the question correctly, it's that someone is graduating next semester. They want to know when it's best to apply for the internship positions.
Yes.
So I know that Kelly's will probably have a little bit better information than I will on that for the actual specifics. Kelly, can you verify that? You'll be able to cover that later?
We won't be covering that in specific detail. Deadlines are on an ongoing basis throughout the year. So that's a question that we can cover that may be covered in the Navigating USA Jobs session with OPM.
Okay. Yeah, these are all really good questions though. I like them. You guys are actually asking some really, really thoughtful, thought-provoking questions. And those are important. Do we have any others? Anything about my DOI career or how to navigate or anything like that?
No, those are the end of the questions, Kevin.
Okay. Yeah, well then let me actually just quickly show you, because I know that some people, in here might not just be students, but you might also be vets as well. I'll just scroll back to the resources page just so that you can actually see where that information is. So under here, we have the veterans employment. This will be for all, where you want to discover employment programs if you're a veteran. And then, if you're looking for maybe cyber career pathways or areas, once you actually get into the federal workspace, we have develop your career, where this will actually navigate you to is a section called DOI talent. And within DOI talent, you'll be able to take courses, be able to hone your skills, be able to develop, learn and have develop skills based off of the courses. And I can tell you there are lots of courses. I actually know this number because I'm working with them. So we have over 5,000 current courses in the system. We're not expecting you to take all 5,000 courses, obviously. But just know that we do have a robust training program and a robust, continual education and learning. So, those are some of the things that you're going to get here that you may not get at other places, especially from the different resources that we have and the different ways to be able to navigate and be able to find your career path. Personal opinion, this has been one of the best locations and areas that I have found in my career that has this many career pathways. In my past experience, it's always been, through trial and error of how to actually get to a different position. Here, we have a lot of positions have a great linear path you can follow, or there's other options available to you if you want to navigate, like I was showing you before in the find your path. So I just wanted to touch base on that and see if that also opened up any additional questions here for you. Well then let's we can move forward. Let's see that Dr. Catherine Campbell is back on. I'll pass the torch back on over to her.
Thank you, Kevin. Great job. And we will have our mission critical occupation, up next. And our session moderator will be George McDonald from the National Park Service. Take it away, George.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. My name is George McDonald. My day job is the Chief of the National Park Service Youth and Young Adult Programs Division, and I also oversee the Experience Services Program for the National Park Service. I'm currently on a detail assignment to the Department of Interior, kind of doing the same work, but I'm speaking to you basically with my National Park Service hat. And I'm just going to share with you that I think I've got the greatest job, one of the greatest jobs in the country. Don't say it too loud because someone may try to get my job from me. I just absolutely love what I do. And what I do is basically every day when I get up in the morning, I'm either going to positively impact 1, 5, 100, maybe 1,000, maybe 10,000, maybe 100,000 people each time I go to work because of what I do. And what I do is basically connect youth and young adults. And young adults, our age range is basically from 15 to 30 years of age with natural and cultural resource conservation projects that basically help to manage over 500 million acres of land, of surface land. Basically 1/5 of all the land in the United States is managed through the Department of Interior. And a significant portion of that is through our national parks. But we've also got over 400 national parks, as well over 500 national wildlife refuges. And we are the holders of these resources. And these resources are actually your ancestral resources because Native Americans own and have possession of all of these lands prior to the Europeans coming to North America. And in the Department of Interior, our current goal and our objective and our mission is to not only protect these resources and manage these resources, but we're also responsible for what comes from these resources. So it is some awesome responsibilities that we're in charge of. And these are our public lands. And these lands are the lands of everyone in this country. But there's also a special place for the respect for centuries of stewardship by Native Americans of these lands. And so it's very important as me as one of the 70,000 plus employees of the Department of Interior to take what I do very, very seriously. And this session that we're going to embark on deals with mission critical occupations. And so you may ask, well, what are mission critical occupations? Well, mission critical occupations are law enforcement. When you have this much land that you're responsible for, you've got to make sure that you can protect those lands, keep those lands away from people who want to do harm. It's in science, wildlife biologists, the trees, the millions of trees that are on Department of Interior lands, the plant life, the animal wildlife. We are responsible for making sure that the ecosystems are in order on these public lands. In order to conduct and do what we do, we also have to manage billions of dollars through contracts and acquisitions. So business management is also a critical, mission critical function. We've got to hire people to do this work. So human resources is also mission critical. We've also got to make sure that what we're doing is legal. So there's a strong legal position where we have thousands of lawyers who work in, well, I would say hundreds, maybe close, it feels like thousands of attorneys that work for the Department of Interior to make sure that we're protecting these lands and we're doing them in a legal way. Information technology, making sure that we have the proper systems to communicate with each other and the American public, and then also to manage what we do. Economists. Economists are very, very important when we look at the extraction of resources and what these resources mean for not only the economy of the United States of America, but the world's economy. Education and vocational training. We do a lot of that through the Department of Interior. As a matter of fact, part of what my responsibilities are, they verge on that education and vocational training. And so a lot of these positions, and I also forgot geology, because of the land masses that we are in charge of, we have a whole agency, the United States Geological Survey, where we employ thousands of geologists and other people in those fields of geology. But what we're going to talk about today is why we need you. We need a diverse, energetic, inclusive, and very smart workforce. We at Interior, as with many federal agencies, we're getting older, and we need to replenish our ranks. And there are huge opportunities in all of the bureaus within the Department of Interior to actually, for you to find very worthwhile career opportunities, so that maybe one day you can say, like I'm saying, I got the greatest job in the country and I want to stay in that job. And I'm super motivated every time I get up and I go to work, because I know that what I'm doing is going to have positive impact on the American people. So we have in this panel, a really exciting panel. Some of these people I've known for years, have been close colleagues of mine. We're going to hear from them as they talk about what their roles are in their respective bureaus, what they do, and why what they do is mission critical. And then after they have spoken, we'll take questions from you all regarding any questions that you may have for the panelists or regarding potential career opportunities within the Department of Interior. So I'm going to start by, I'm going to ask all the panelists to turn their cameras on. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Anthony Bobo from the Bureau of Land Management.
Great. Well, I had the opportunity to start first. That's always the hardest one. So good afternoon to some and good morning to others. My name is Anthony Bobo, and I'm with the Bureau of Land Management, which is a bureau within the Department of Interior. I am so glad to be here today and to be able to share. I'm what's known as a Deputy State Director in the Eastern States Office of the Bureau of Land Management. And the Bureau of Land Management, we manage public lands east of the Mississippi. And we deal with everything from under my direction, from oil and gas to when he talked about the birds and animals, biosciences, dealing with wild horse and burro that are in the West and we're adopting them in the East, and dealing with recreation and tribal relations. And I enjoy what I do every day because I have no clue of what I'm going to have to handle. I was just watching the news and we're talking about gas prices. And one of the things that we do in Eastern states is oil and gas leasing. And so that has an effect on every American. And so I'm glad to have the opportunity to interact with you today and to talk with you about the Bureau of Land Management and the whole idea of that these are your public lands. These are places where you can go and recreate. These are places where the revenue that is gained there goes to the National Treasury and helps us as we are trying to do things across the country. And these are places where we're striving to do things to protect and to conserve, as well as use to the benefit of the general public. So I'm glad to be here and looking forward to the questions.
Thank you. We will go to Valerie Jabel. And please, if I mispronounce your surnames, please correct me if I get your pronunciations wrong.
It's actually Valerie Giebel. I'm an attorney here in the Tulsa Field Solicitor's Office. So I work in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He mentioned earlier that Solicitor's Office are all of the attorneys that work for Department of Interior. And when I try to explain to people what Solicitor's Office does, I think of it as like the in-house counsel office to Department of Interior. We work with all of the different agencies and bureaus that are within Interior, and each solicitor's office that are across the nation might do different work depending on where they're located and what agencies and departments of Interior are near them. So the primary work that I do here in Tulsa, Oklahoma is for Eastern Oklahoma BIA Regional Office and for Southern Plains BIA Regional Office. There's only 6 attorneys here in the Tulsa office, and we do a wide variety of things. I've heard a lot of people mention today that one of the reasons they love their career at Interior is that every day you get to pick up and do something new, do something different, do something impactful and meaningful. And I really feel that in this position here. I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, and it is good to do work at Interior that I think is good for my tribes and the neighboring tribes here in Oklahoma, for one. And another thing that just generally that I love that I do is I work primarily with applications of Indian tribes who are placing land into trust, which I think restoring homelands and creating economic development opportunities for tribes is a really great thing that Interior does. And I really love being able to be a part of that. Some of the other specific things that my office does for Interior, I appear in state court proceedings regarding the allotted lands of the 5 civilized tribes. So that's Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Muskogee Creek, and Seminole. Congress, in their infinite wisdom, extended the state court laws related to property over those 5 tribes' allotted lands. And so we appear in state court if they want to lease it for mineral development, if they want to deed it to whether it's a family member or they want to sell it to somebody outside the family. And so I appear in state court and represent those individual Indians. I think that that's something that's unique to the Tulsa office, where we work directly with individual tribal citizens, protecting their lands and assisting them to do what they want to do with it, advising them on that. One of the other things that is unique in the Tulsa office is we are appointed, 3 of us are appointed as special attorneys, and we hear the Osage will proceedings. Osage citizens can dispose of their head rights because the tribe has head right interests that are their mineral interests underlying the original reservation, and they dispose of those by wills, and the wills have to be approved through a process under which the Secretary of Interior hears it. And so they've appointed 3 attorneys in the Tulsa office to hear those hearings, and so we go and we listen to those. So every day I do a variety of things, whether it's something related to property and working with an actual tribal nation, or some of the things that I do are related to directly with individual Indians and protecting their property. And some of the things that I do, I sit in the role of essentially a judge in a proceeding. And so this particular career, before I got here, I was in private practice for a long time, and well, not a long time, about 8 years. And this is by far the best job that I've ever had. And I think that all the people that work in my office would agree with that. Most of them came from other careers before they got here, and they just feel a strong connection to the work that we do at Interior. And I can't speak more highly of my workplace. And I appreciate having the opportunity to be able to talk to you all today.
And thank you so much. And my apologies for getting your surname incorrect. And next we will have John J.C. Nelson from the United States Geological Survey.
Good afternoon, JC Nelson with the USGS. I am a biologist in DOI Region 3, USGS Mid-Continent region, working for our regional office. And I've been doing that now for almost 2 years, but I've been a biologist with USGS since 2004. And in our particular area, the science fields are probably our number one as far as number of people, mission critical positions. So whether it's hydrologists, hydrologic technicians, biologists, or bioscience techs, they make a large portion of our local workforce within the region here, which covers the Great Lakes all the way. We also include DOI Region 5, which is the kind of upper Rocky Mountains, so through the Great Plains and all of that. So great deal of science gets done. And my background was actually in geography and geographic information systems with kind of that biological component, bringing different science elements together, and which fits nicely with USGS being the science arm of the department. We get aspects of all different sciences, whether it's biological, hydrological, geologic, and geographic. It all kinds of comes together and allows us to work with all of the other bureaus that you're going to hear from today and have already heard from. So it's kind of a nice interchange of all kinds of work. And the other nice thing about, at least in our region, like I mentioned, the science makes up a large portion of our missing critical positions, but we, for instance, have 11 science centers, and they all have administrative staff. So people with their MBAs to, take care of the finances, to make sure that, the equipment that's needed out in the field can be purchased, and computer folks to make sure that, the servers are running, and, the computers in the labs that are running the processes can do the work that they need to do. So it's, we focus on the science, but that's not to say that we don't have mission critical positions in pretty much any aspect of education, whether, like I said, business to finances, IT, mechanics, and facilities folks. So it's kind of a great intersection of all sorts of careers across America. So I'll leave it at that, and thanks, and look forward to questions.
Thank you so much. And I just absolutely love your agency, especially with your monitoring of earthquakes and volcanoes and those sorts of things, which are really, really cool.
Thank you.
The next person is Stephanie. And Stephanie, I hope I'm going to make the correct pronunciation. Is it Kiger?
You got it right.
Oh, wow.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm batting pretty good. And you're with the solicitor's office.
I am.
If you could share what you do.
Sure. And let me start off, I'll say Sangitamo or Sangiti, which is good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are today. My name is Stephanie Kiger. I'm an attorney advisor in the solicitor's office in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm an enrolled member of Santa Clara Pueblo. And so I just said good morning and good afternoon. I've been in the solicitor's office for 11 years, which is a little shocking to me. But, and one of the things, and one of the panelists, I think Anthony said it best, is the reason why I like this job is you never know what you're going to run into on a day-to-day basis. And similar to what Valerie does, Valerie and I are in the same division of the solicitor's office, different offices, is that I describe us as a regional law office. And so we essentially provide legal services to the agencies within our region, which is all of New Mexico, part of Arizona, part of Colorado, part of Texas, and then the field office in Oklahoma handles all the Oklahoma people. In our office, we have two teams. We have the Indian law team and we have the natural resources team. And so the Indian law team, which I'm on, we provide legal services to BIA Southwest, which has 24 constituent tribes, and then BIA Navajo, which is Navajo. And then the natural resources side provide legal services to Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, and some of those other agencies that do the natural resources side. I personally do a lot of realty work. And so, and it doesn't sound terribly interesting, but it actually really can be, which is rights of way, leases, trespass cases, which are particularly interesting. And so because the Bureau of Indian Affairs has to approve a lot of rights of way and leases that occupy tribal lands, we will look at those instruments, try to make sure that they meet all the regulatory requirements. Where we come in more often is when those leases or rights of way are being violated or not being followed. And so how do we serve those constituent tribes, either in recovering their property, recovering monies? We do a lot of work with the DOJ, Department of Justice, especially in the trespass cases, and helping to either recover property or to clean up property. Say there's a gas and oil lease, the lessee, the company occupying that, doing that gas and oil work is not doing a great job and it's left a mess after they leave. We will try to help and reclaim the land, but then also recover funds for the Indian property owner. But you never know what your day is going to look like when you come in. It could be a request for testimony for a federal employee, so we'll look at those. Could be a right of way, it could be a lease, could be, we used to have to do some human resources work, like, dealing with the employees in the agencies. Thankfully, we don't have to do that. They've kind of shuttled that off to a division within the solicitor's office. But I really do enjoy the work, and and it's nice to be able to go out into the field and to work with the constituent tribes and work with our clients, my client being the BIA, and just learning from their expertise to do a better job, to help me do a better job.
So thank you so much for sharing what you do. And I do really appreciate all the services that I have gotten over the years from the solicitor's office, because you all are just some incredibly smart people that really are doing some great work to protect both the agency as well as the American public. The next person, and I hope that I get your first name and last name correct, Shalini Shavaria, who is a hydrologist.
My name is Shailene Chavaria, but you were close. You were close.
Okay. All right. I'm trying.
Thank you for having me. My name is Shailene Chavaria. I'm a hydrologist at the USGS. I work out of the New Mexico Water Science Center in Albuquerque. And like Stephanie, I'm a member of Santa Clara Pueblo. Some of you might be thinking, what the heck is a hydrologist? So a hydrologist is a scientist who studies water in all of its various forms. So what I do at the USGS is I monitor and I collect data on the movement of water through the environment. I also do studies on water quality, water quantity, and I look at how water resources might change in the future due to climate change or water use, just as a couple of examples. And in addition to my role as a hydrologist, I also play a role with the USGS Office of Tribal Relations. So I've been working with the Office of Tribal Relations for the past year. And in that role, I've been providing insight on how the USGS can either establish or strengthen existing relationships with Native American tribes and the people that we serve. And I've also been helping to ensure that we at the USGS are engaging with tribal nations in the most respectful and productive manner possible. So I started off college at the Southwestern Indian Polytechnic Institute, and So shout out to SIPI, anyone attending from SIPI. It's a local tribal college in Albuquerque, and I started off majoring in natural resources management. One of the requirements for my degree was to do an internship with an organization focused on natural resources management. And in 2010, I got an internship with the USGS, helping to collect streamflow data and learning about the different projects that the USGS does. And I never expected to stay there long term. You know, my plan was always to go back and work for my tribe, but I'm still here about 12, 13 years later. And I first started off working under, at the time it was called the STEP program, and now it's the Pathways program. You guys will hear a little bit more about that in the later presentations. So I started off in that program and I've been here ever since. And there's a lot of different aspects of my job that I like. And the first is that I get to travel throughout New Mexico and the Southwest, and I get to see so many incredible places, different landscapes. And I get to meet a bunch of different people from different backgrounds with the projects that I'm involved in. And part of my job entails outreach. So talking to people about the data that we collect and the studies that we conduct, and conveying our scientific information to the public. So I get to interact with, learn from, and share with people of all different backgrounds. And the best part of my job is I get to interact with little children and teach them science. So I also get to work across disciplines, and that's another aspect of my job that I like. I get to work with people across the USGS, in other DOI agencies, in other state and federal local agencies. I get to work with people that are experts in their field. And at the USGS and at the DOI in general, we have a lot of people with a bunch of different backgrounds. So we have people focusing on natural and environmental hazards, those doing research on plants and animals. We have social scientists, economists, and as JC mentioned, we also have a lot of people in our administrative sections of our offices. So those working in the IT fields, and those also that help to keep our centers functioning. And then those who protect our federal lands and our federal buildings. And that's just to name a few. So that's why we say that there is a space and place for everyone at the DOI. Any type of career that you can think of, we likely have it at the DOI. So thank you for having me.
And thank you. And it's great that you also came through one of the student programs to achieve your position. So you are definitely a credit to those programs. Okay, so we'll go to Brett Miller, okay,
Sure.
with Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Sure, I'm excited to be with the Bureau. I came over about 8 months ago, and I was in a regional HR director position with the Indian Health Service. I grew up on the Fort Peck Reservation in Wolf Point, Montana. Also spent a lot of time on the Colville Reservation in central Washington, related to a lot of Colville tribal members, brothers and sisters, and just very fortunate to grow up in Indian country. I'm enrolled at Fort Peck. I have about 12 years of HR experience, 9 as HR director, and over 20 in various management fields. Let's see, I oversee 5 staffing offices. We have about 90 employees with the Bureau in human resources. Always looking for talent in the human resources field, of course. 5 staffing offices, 1 classification office, an ER/LR office, which is employee and labor relations. That's an interesting field. And we just added an HR information systems office that Gayla, who is on this call, is actually heading up. So just we service almost 4,000 employees, 3,828 to date, 12 regional offices, 75 agencies, and our diversity in servicing 574 federally recognized tribes. There's a lot of different cultural and cultural diversity there. There's locations throughout the United States that Native graduates could apply for and work at. We also, I know somebody's going to touch on Pathways program a bit more. Gayla Schock is on this call too. She headed up our Pathways program for quite a few years. Gayla, did you want to add a bit on the Pathways program?
Sure. The BIA OT Office of Trust Services Pathways program is been around. Internship program has been around for a while, but recently we brought it together to make it more robust, to cover more programs. Prior to 2015, we just did the internship programs for forestry and range. And as of today, now we've expanded it across all of trust services, all the programs we serve. There's many different careers that you can seek if you come work for Pathways. Maybe you don't know what career path you want. You can explore and experience the different programs we have until you find, your path. This is what you want to do. We work with you. We recruit nationwide. Doesn't matter where you're at, what state. We work with you. We'll put you on travel, send you to location. You can intern with the tribe, or you can intern with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Right now, we have multiple programs that we cover for trust services. If you want to do forestry, one of the mission critical, we got mission critical occupations across the main programs in trust services. One of them being wildland fire. We do need a lot of talent to come over. Education will help you move up that career path, that ladder. We have forestry. Of course, we got agriculture, rangeland management, minerals and energy, climate change, real estate services, land titles, records, and water and power. So every one of the panelists that's on here, their programs, we basically have, many programs underneath that coordinates and works across the agencies, the departments, works with all of these bureaus that you hear. And the best part, get your foot in the door, get into Pathways, and you can start networking. We can move you around when you go ahead and you graduate and you complete your hours that we need for you. We can non-competitively place you. It's an excellent opportunity. We can't stress enough how much we need you guys for these mission critical occupations. And the one thing too is STEM. We need STEM students. We also, just because you don't seek a STEM degree, you can go into admin and legal and work, into the realty program. But the legal documents, there's so many career paths within BIA that you can seek. And we hope to see you guys applying. And if you guys got any questions, let us know.
Thank you very much. And that was very, very informative. And the next person is Shannon Freeman from the Bureau of Indian Education.
My name is Shannon Freeman, and I am so thankful to be part of this program. I am an education talent recruiter for the Bureau of Indian Education. And I'm a member of the Caddo Nation. And I'm coming to you from Anadarko, Oklahoma, in Caddo County, and which is where one of our Indian schools is located. Riverside is located there and is celebrating their 150th year this year. So we are celebrating on our campus. I want to talk to you for just a second. I found a quote that I thought was really important about intentionality. And it's that great results don't just happen. You have to be intentional. And I want to share with you my career path because there were times I was very intentional and there were times I wasn't intentional. I didn't have any idea what I was doing, but things worked out for me. And I want to share with you my career path. I grew up in a family, a multi-generational family. My grandparents raised me when I was younger. And my mother had 3 daughters. I was the oldest, and I went to take, my grandparents raised me. And I'm so thankful for that because I kind of, people say I have an old soul. My values are really important, and that's what helps me make my decisions. And education was always, I was brought up being taught that education was very important. And I believe that to this day. And that's why I'm in the field of education. I was active in my high school, and I went on to college at the University of Oklahoma. And I gained my bachelor's and my master's degree from the University of Oklahoma. And while I was in college, I worked in the Upward Bound program at Southwestern University in Weatherford, Oklahoma. And I also worked in our Head Start programs, our tribal Head Start programs. And those things were very important to me. So when I went on to look for a career, what was I gonna do once I graduated from college? I moved to Tulsa and I worked for a nonprofit, the Native American Coalition of Tulsa. And we had a lot of outreach programs in the community. And I started realizing that education was important. It was important to get our families involved in education. And even though I was in an urban setting, my family was still in Anadarko, in Binger, in Fort Cobb, Oklahoma, and we participated in our ceremonies. So I would say my eyes were open to different opportunities and how different people worked and the different things that different communities, their diversity and what was important to them. It was really important to my family that I found a job where I was able to take care of myself and my siblings, my family, but that I also maintained that tie to home, to cultural events. And I think that my career path you can see those strands that run through my career path. I went on to work after working in Tulsa. I went to work at the University of Oklahoma, and I served as the American Indian counselor on the campus in Norman for 12 years. And I loved that job. I loved interacting with college students and helping with the financial aid office and finding out how to help motivate people to the next step in their career. And then I was recruited to work for Oklahoma City Public Schools. And I was in their HR department, and I became the director of recruiting and staffing. And I started recruiting from colleges, and I recruited teachers and principals to work in Oklahoma City Public Schools. And I was still working with different communities. And then I even started teaching. I was teaching elementary school also. And I was looking through jobs on USA Jobs, and I found a position with the Bureau of Indian Education in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And it was a job very similar to what I was doing in HR in Oklahoma City Public Schools, looking for teachers, looking for people who were passionate about teaching and interacting with students and recruiting principals. And so I applied to the job out in Albuquerque. And while I was waiting to hear about the position, because sometimes when you apply for a job, you don't get a response, you don't hear anything, it takes a while. So in the meantime, I thought, well, I'm gonna kind of sharpen up my education talents. And so I started teaching first grade in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. I taught first grade at the Wajaji, the Osage Language Immersion School. And I loved that job too. I just feel so thankful that I've had these wonderful opportunities. But all of these opportunities kind of led me to the Bureau of Indian Education. And I heard from the BIE, and they hired me to recruit teachers and principals. And so that's what I'm currently doing. And I love my job. I get to visit college campuses. I am participating now in virtual recruitment fairs, and I interact with our principals. You know, we have currently in the BIE, we have schools in over 23 states. You heard Director Dearman talk about this. We operate 54 Bureau-operated schools, and there are 129 tribes who have contracted to run their own schools. But we need passionate educators in all of these schools. And sometimes when I'm talking to people about starting a career in the BIE, you know, they'll say, well, you know, I don't have a degree yet. Or they might say, my degree is in science, or my degree is in math. Well, that's exactly what we need. We need math teachers. We need science teachers. And so not only am I here available to help recruit teachers and principals, but to help you take that step to become certified to be a teacher or a principal in one of our schools. And you know, I want you to think for just a minute, how did you get to where you are right now? Well, you had people that were supporting you in your schools. You had principals, you had teachers, and we run a school district. So we have coaches. I know that, well, I'll tell you what, when it's basketball season and it becomes time for state tournaments, our Bureau-operated schools are right there competing with everyone. We have outstanding coaches in our community. You know what? We have a need for cafeteria workers. We have dorms on many of our campuses. We need residential life counselors. We need bus drivers. We need custodians. We need facilities managers to keep our buildings looking really keen for our students, and keeping our campuses looking nice. We need people at every level. And do you know what also we need? We need people from our communities to take part and become school board members. We need, but more importantly than anything, we need teachers. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I want you to think about how exciting it is to interact with what I consider our greatest resource, and that is our students. Our students across Indian country deserve the very best teachers that are out there, and that could be you. And so I am excited to be able to talk to you. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details about how to apply for our positions. I want you to start thinking about the place that you could have in the Bureau of Indian Education. You know, we want to help students. Our mission is to help students prepare to be successful on their life path. Whatever their life path should be, we want to be there to support them and to help them and to encourage them and to motivate them. And if you think back in your career path and wherever you are, whether you're in college or whether you have children or you have grandchildren right now, we want you to think about how you can become active in the Bureau of Indian Education, because, you know, to create an environment that's exciting for people to learn, that only strengthens our communities. And our communities have a lot of resources. You've heard people talk about that today. There are a lot of resources. There are a lot of opportunities out there, but I really believe in my heart that it all begins with a strong foundation. And that's what we offer in our Bureau-operated schools through the Bureau of Indian Education, our Bureau-operated schools and our tribally contracted schools. We have a responsibility to prepare our students and in turn our families for a very successful and great life ahead of them. You know, making choices for your life are based on your greatest values. And I know that my tribe values education. And I think that most of the nations that I have visited, education is always stressed. And so I would just like for you and for you to share with your colleagues and your friends and your families about the opportunities in the Bureau of Indian Education. We run a great school district. Like I said, it's like we run a school district that spans 23 states, and there is a place for you. And so I ask that you consider that and follow up with opportunities available in the Bureau of Indian Education.
And thank you so much, Shannon.
George.
Both my parents were educators, so it's a special place in my heart for educators because educators are the foundation of our society. So thank you for all the great work that you've done.
Thank you.
And our next panelist is Brandon. And Brandon, you're going to have to help me out with your last name because I do not want to mispronounce it. And then I will have a losing record on my pronunciations.
Not a problem. It's Sepuhudal Mikanen, and that's what I'm here for, teamwork. I appreciate the introduction, George. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first off, I want to start off by saying thank you for everyone, all the panelists, and then for everybody who's participating in this recruiting event. I know that your lives are very busy, and I know that you have a variety of very busy things going on in your lives, and thank you for carving out the time to participate in this. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Office of Justice Services. I've just provided my contact information and email, also a link to our recruiting division if you would like to reach out to them directly today you hear anything that you're interested in. The one thing that I'd like to go ahead and discuss is right now, I know that I am talking to the future leaders in your communities and the future leaders in wherever you all will work. You've taken this first step to be an active participant in deciding what you're going to do with your career. And I'm thankful that you're here, then I have an opportunity to speak to you. The Bureau of Indian Affairs Office of Justice Services is responsible for the protection of lives, resources, and property. And that is at the heart and the forefront of our mission. Specifically, we enforce both federal law and tribal law. We enforce 18 USC, which is to say United States Code, and each of the jurisdictions that we serve, we also enforce the tribal law should there be applicable tribal law in those communities. During my career, I have been an intern, dispatcher, a correctional officer, a police officer, a lieutenant, a training lieutenant, a criminal investigator, a chief of police, and now finally an assistant special agent in charge. And the one thing that I would have to say is the common thread throughout the length of my career is going to be the overall job satisfaction and the feeling of accomplishment that I feel every day at the end of the day. Each of my days is very stressful and very busy, but I can say with absolute certainty every day when I lay my head down and finally go to sleep that I know that I've made a difference in the life of someone, whether it be one person, whether it be a community, whether it be 5 people. I know that I've done something. And that gives me an immense degree of satisfaction. Careers with OJS are very dynamic. They rapidly evolve. And there are a variety of positions that we have. We have positions as cooks. We have positions as correctional officers, administrative support, uniform patrol officers, special agents, chiefs of police, victim services. So as you can hear, we have a variety of backgrounds and a variety of positions. And I won't go into them in length and detail, except to say that each of those serves a vital function in helping to ensure that effective law enforcement services are provided to Native American communities. There have been issues in the past, I believe, in terms of the delivery of those services. And I think moving forward, we have to strive to try and achieve a greater degree of professionalism and reliability in the performance of those services. The one thing that I can say, and I think I'm going to echo many of the other panelists, is that we have a variety of tasks that we may do from day to day. Throughout my career, I feel that I've been a law enforcement officer, but I've also been a counselor. I've helped to rescue people from forest fires. I've helped to help people from floods. And I would say that one of the greatest moments to me in my entire career is whenever I was a uniform patrol officer. And I was called to a residence and a small child ran and jumped into my arms. And he told me, "I'm glad you're here because I know I'm going to be able to eat today." And that statement has stuck with me throughout the length of my career, and it always will, because I know that the things that I do and the things that each of us perform in the Office of Justice Services is critically important, and it makes a difference in the lives of others. We have an incredible amount of flexibility and freedom in our positions. Whether it be criminal investigator or uniform patrol officer, you were given a wide degree of autonomy in order to choose what you prioritize and what you are passionate about. I will once again reiterate, there's an incredible degree of meaning. I feel fortunate that I am able to live out the values and the traditions that I was taught throughout my life by my family, by my grandparents and parents, and I'm able to continue in that warrior tradition and the guardian tradition of ensuring that those most vulnerable in our communities are safe. The one thing that I will say is that our agency is seeking diversity in all applicants, and I mean diversity of thought, diversity in walk of life. We need all types of individuals to come in because each of you brings a unique background, skill set, and life experience that will help to make you a more effective member of our team to help ensure that communities are safe in one capacity or another. One of the good things fortunate things I've been able to do is work with the Federal Bureau, the FBI, the United States Marshal Service, the United States Attorney's Office, and one of the groups I think super important is social services. That's one of my favorite groups in any agency or community and be able to partner with. I hope that you'll consider us. If you have any interest, please reach out to me or email and the link that I put in the chat. I think it would be an opportunity for each of you to grow as a person and to make a concrete and very real difference in the communities that we serve. Thank you for your time and have a good day.
And thank you so much, Brandon. And I just want to add that I've had the pleasure of working alongside some special agents in the National Park Service. And I really have a great appreciation for all that you do. And it's some really exciting work. And had I known about those sorts of careers maybe a zillion years ago, I might have taken a different path. But thank you again.
We'll hire you today.
I don't think so. Plus, I already have my dream job, but I really appreciate all the things that you do. The next person is Juliet Genie from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Did I get your surname correct?
Close, Juliet Jean. So two first names.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Again, I'm Juliet Jean. I am Hopi, coming to you from the homelands of the White Mountain Apache tribe in eastern Arizona. I am the Deputy Coordinator for BIA's Post-Wildfire Recovery Program. So we are housed under the Division of Forestry and Branch of Wildland Fire Management, and we're based out of the National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho. So all federal land management agencies, including BIA, are responsible for a program called Burned Area Emergency Response, or BEAR for short. This program identifies immediate threats to human life and safety and critical values following a wildfire. So we are looking at the risk of post-fire threats, such as flooding or debris flows and sedimentation and erosion, and also what emergency treatments we can do to protect people and property. Another component of post-wildfire recovery is burned area rehabilitation. So this program funds non-emergency projects to help lands recover after a fire, and also to repair or replace minor facilities and infrastructure. So during the fire season, a big part of my job is to travel to wildland fire incidents and lead these BEAR teams. So these are emergency response teams. They're comprised of natural resource specialists. They can be either staffed locally, or if there's a need, we can bring in interagency personnel to assist. So teams are made up of hydrologists, soil scientists, GIS specialists. They can include botanists or wildlife and fisheries biologists, road engineers, foresters, archaeologists, you name it. If there's a resource affected, we bring in team members to help us look at the threats. So the main objective of BEAR is to conduct a rapid field assessment and determine risk to values. So based on that risk level, we then write a plan and design treatments that prevent further damage to these critical values. So if a risk is extremely high, particularly to human safety, we can design flood alert or other warning systems to advise people about potential dangers after a fire. So many people think that after having experienced a fire, that maybe the emergency has passed and they're safe. Well, this may not be the case. Fire not only consumes vegetation, but it also changes soil properties. So combined, it can produce a serious watershed response and flooding, even with relatively minor precipitation. So We are tasked with alerting people to this potential danger and then prescribing these temporary treatments to reduce the risk. So that's during the fire season. During the non-fire season, I'm busy managing millions of dollars in program budgets and reviewing and reporting on thousands of acres of project accomplishments across Indian country. We're also updating program policy and providing technical assistance to tribes, responding to data calls from the central office or tribal organizations. So it seems like we're always busy, whether we're in fire or not. In this position, I have the opportunity to work with all sorts of resource specialists and professionals and administrative staff. We couldn't do it without the team effort. I have a foundation in natural resources, but that's not to say that's required for the position. But having that background and an understanding of fire ecology has been really important. Many of the skills that I've learned can definitely be learned on the job, either doing bear team assignments or working in wildland fire management. And just as an example, so our program staff, there's only going to be 3 of us. So my supervisor, he's a forester by training. My background is environmental policy and earth systems. And then our 3rd person, which we haven't hired yet, is we're looking to recruit a hydrologist. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, there are opportunities for students to assist with bear teams during wildfire assignments. So if you're interning with an agency, let your supervisor know that you're interested in learning about the process and practices that we employ during these emergency situations and how we're working to keep people safe following a wildfire. So that's where I'll leave it. Thanks, George.
Thank you so much. And fire management is just a fascinating area. And it is so important with the adverse impacts of climate change. And I'm actually meeting a person who had been on a fire hotshot team for the National Park Service later on today, who's in town. And it's that's some really exciting work. I mean, and it's so very important, especially in the western part of our country. So thank you for all that you do. And our next panelist is Jamie DePipe. Did I get that right? From
Almost.
The Office of the Inspector General.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie DePape. I'm a special agent in charge with the Department of Interior, Office of Inspector General, Office of Investigations, Western Region. It's quite a mouthful, but thank you for having me on the panel. This is very exciting to be invited to this event. It means a lot. I've been with the Department of Interior for 23 years. Obviously, it's a long time. I love it. Like everybody else was talking, I love it because of the variety. I started as an auditor and transferred over to investigations. This job has allowed me to move around. I've worked all the way up, to Turtle Mountain, all the way down to Navajo Nation. I've spent 12 of the 23 years in New Mexico, which I still consider my home. Now I'm the special agent in charge, and I oversee criminal, civil, and administrative investigations that occur in all the states west of the Mississippi. And that also includes insular areas such as America Samoa and Guam. So it's a very large region. And I only have 20 agents, an investigative analyst, and a forensic accountant to cover that area. So like a lot of agencies, we lack the resources, and that's why these events are very, very important to us. And thankfully, we have other law enforcement partners like Brandon and his group within the Department of Interior to help us with our mission. Now, let me step back. At the end of the day, remove my title. I am a special agent. I'm a sworn law enforcement officer. I've been given the authority to conduct investigations, effect arrests, do search warrants, issue and serve subpoenas and other such activities, within federal jurisdiction. We conduct white collar crime investigations, so we follow the money. This is not violent crime investigations. And most of our cases involve Department of Interior bureaus and programs, and even state and tribal programs that receive federal funds. Now, if someone's stealing Department of Interior funds, then we get involved. We try to get that money back. We try to hold that person responsible. Now, say an employee, they're not following policies and procedures or law, then we also sometimes get involved to make sure those policies and procedures that are in place are good ones. And if not, we make our recommendations to make our programs better. I do want to say for the audience, you know, when you're watching TV, some of these shows, they're very cool and they're fun. That's not necessarily reality. It is a great job. And as Brandon said, it's very, very fulfilling if this is the type of work you're interested in. Now you're probably thinking, as I did back, you know, before I got into this career, where I'm sure I probably need some kind of law enforcement experience, right? Or maybe some military experience, but you don't. I had an accounting degree. I liked numbers, and that was exactly what they were looking for. And so we have a variety of experience on our team. We have military, we have marketing majors, right? We have journalists, we have psychologists, and that makes a great diverse team because we all think differently. Now, as far as schooling outside of college, for what I did, a lot of people don't know there's federal agents outside of the FBI or DEA, right? Many agencies have special agents. And we don't go to the FBI Academy, but we do go to a criminal investigator program at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia. It's 3 months, and then we have a 3-week add-on, and you just learn a lot about law. You do driving, interviewing, search warrants, evidence. And of course, there's a ton of tests that you gotta take. But for this type of job, you know, if you're very good at being adaptable, flexible, if you think quick on your feet, you know, we do undercover work, you know, and what I didn't know getting into this job, writing is very important now that we post everything on our web. So if you're interested in knowing what kind of cases we work, you know, it is on our website. So, you know, I got into this job just because I'm from a very small town of 3,000 people, and I wanted to get out. I wanted to get into the big city. And so I just started applying, you know, and that's just what you got to do. You just got to jump in to that job pool and just start applying. Department of Interior actually came to our college and I applied for it. I didn't even know what Department of Interior was. You know, I just wanted to get a job. And auditing was probably my least favorite class in college, but I knew, hey, I just got to get in and I got to keep trying. So good luck, everybody. Please look for our opportunities in the future. We would really love to have you a part of our organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I know, you know, as a federal employee, I definitely want to stay out of the crosshairs of the Office of the Inspector General. But I will say that the work that you all do is great for educational and training purposes and helps us. What we learn from these investigations and the results from those help us to serve the public better and in a more effective and efficient manner. So really appreciate all that you do. And I believe that we have concluded all of the panel presentations. Now we're going to take some questions, and we do have some questions that are in the chat. So the first question is, how will employment work with recent graduates, but who are international students and need certain paperwork to stay within the country? And what does that process look like? I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this, but I would say for the person that asked this question, if you can just put your contact information in the chat, and we'll have someone that can get back to you with some more detailed information as far as what sorts of work permits and visas and those sorts of things that you would need. Sometimes you may not be able to work in the federal government, but you can work through affiliated organizations with the federal government, which can also provide some very great work experiences and educational experiences for you. The next question is, this focuses on hydrology, and I know that we have at least 2 people who are hydrologists on this panel. If a person wants to focus in the hydrology field, do you recommend those students to have field experience in water quality?
I'll start off, I guess. You don't necessarily have to have field experience in water quality. When I went to school, I had a little bit of experience in a bunch of different areas. And, you know, I took a water quality class, but it was just a semester long class, and we didn't really get out a lot in the field. We mostly, you know, talked about water quality principles in my classroom training. And so the way I got into water quality was by working on some different projects here at the USGS. So I didn't know a whole lot about water quality, and that my expertise was mostly in surface water and in climate change. So learning a little bit more about water quality on the job was is the way I learned about water quality, and learning about the different sampling procedures and the lab procedures I learned on the job. So you don't necessarily have to have that experience. You can learn it when you get into your job or your career.
Great. Does anybody else want to add?
Yeah, this is JC. I'll hop in as well. I agree with everything that Shailene said. It also depends on where you're looking for jobs. You know, here in the Midwest, you know, water quality is a huge topic. And so a lot of our hydrologists that we look for with that experience, but, you know, water availability, whether too much water in flooding or too little in drought is also, you know, a huge, and depends, you know, Great Lakes area, more in the flooding area, whereas in the western part of our region, it's definitely more arid and drought related. So, you know, you can always learn on the job. So just having a background in, you know, different hydrologic processes, I think is key for a position in hydrology. So thanks.
Great. And so the next question is there a maximum age for applying for criminal investigations work? And this is, I believe, directed toward Brandon.
No, because of the nature of the type of position. If you enter into it, there's different types of retirement coverage for law enforcement positions. But if you enter into that position or what's called secondary coverage, there is no limit on that. If you were to try and enter under first coverage, which would give you a specific type of retirement called the 6C coverage, which would be a maximum age of 37 years. But if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to my office.
Great. So our next question is, this is for Jamie, and they want to know the department that you work in, which I believe is the Office of Inspector General, but also want to elaborate on the training in Georgia. And this person is interested.
So yes, it's the Office of Inspector General, which is within the Department of Interior. And the academy it's a criminal investigative program at the Federal Law Enforcement Academy in Glencoe, Georgia. I think Brandon and his group probably have you know, probably a longer academy than we do, but for us, it's 3 months of training. And then we have a 3-week add-on, and that includes, you know, discussing a lot of law. We do driving, interviewing. You practice, you know, mock search warrants, photography, how to process evidence. There's of course a ton of tests. And then there's the other part of it too, where it includes physical activity. You got to be able to run 1.5 miles and do some other things like that. We have defense tactics and those types of things. So it's quite a process, but it is very, very fun. So I hope that answers your question.
And there's a second question from another person, but this is also Office of Inspector General related. So the question is the Office of Inspector General, is this a department that works specifically with the Department of Interior? And this person also is interested in potentially applying for positions in which you have those specific contacts.
Yeah, so we are within the Department of Interior, and we work with every single agency within the Department of Interior. Basically, you know, we oversee it all. Our mission is very large, but we are very, very small. So if you compare us to all the other agencies, we have under 300 people to do our mission. So opportunities don't come as often as probably the other agencies, but I will likely have an opportunity in our new Albuquerque office for an investigative analyst. It's an 1805. You should be able to see that if you're interested. And we do have, I think, 3 slots for fiscal year 2023 that we're going to have out. So please apply. It's a very fun job.
Okay, great. Now this sounds like a crosswalk sort of questions. So this person has a bachelor's degree in environmental science, and they are in the process of completing their master's degree in criminal justice, but they don't have any work experience. And they've applied for many federal positions, but they haven't had success at getting a position. And one question is experience necessary if applying at the GS5 through GS7 level? And I'll, whoever in the group would like to respond to that.
We can have different kinds of experiences. And so whenever I'm talking to people who are trying to apply for these jobs, I tell them, include your volunteer experience, include the experience, the different things that you've done with, different organizations that you work with in college. All of that is experience, any type of outreach type stuff that you do, include that as experience. Even though you don't have direct work experience, you could also include other areas of experience, and even like stuff that you do in your tribe, like if you work with some of your elders, or you do different things, play different roles in your tribe, add that as experience. That's experience.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. And I remember when I was in school, and even some of the the students that we have now, I couldn't afford to just volunteer. Like some people could just volunteer the entire summer, and I couldn't afford that. So while I had a job doing things like working at a grocery store or whatever that didn't have immediate application to where I am now, I did volunteer in other places. I did, and it's being intentional with the time that you have, and also being able to explain and explore what those experiences mean. Sometimes we have experiences and we just don't look at it in the right manner or in the right vein. My background is in business, and I'm dealing with a lot of natural resource things. Well, how does that happen? Well, we're making decisions, and how do we strategize, and how do we envision the future? So take the opportunity to be intentional of what you do in those volunteer times, and also look at them from the vein of, hey, I'm applying for this job. How can I articulate how this experience overlaps, or these volunteer overlaps with what I'm trying to apply for?
I was just going to say, just because you have a work experience that's not applicable specific to that job, you're getting a skill set that's going to be particularly helpful. For instance, I waitressed when I was in college. And you wouldn't think that waitressing helps with a professional job like lawyering, but waitressing teaches you how to prioritize, teaches you how to multitask, teaches you customer service. So take those jobs or those experiences you have and think about the skill set and how the skill set you acquired can apply to this new job. And that might be a good way to transition to the position you want.
Just to jump off of what everyone else is saying, a lot of that volunteer experience could be like where you're on over the summer, maybe helping with a youth camp, and that can help lead, with your supervisory or leadership skills, ability to manage a group. And then also when you're identifying your volunteer experience, make sure to put the month and year that you began and end it with the same. Otherwise, you'll cut yourself short.
And I'd like to just piggyback and say that if you're also, when you're applying for federal positions, that a private sector resume is very different from a federal resume, and you'll probably hear more about this in later sessions, but you need to go into excruciating detail about everything that you do, have done, your education, courses that you have taken, papers you have written, the volunteer service, as many people have said, but also excruciating details about all of your work experience. Where many books, basically no one-page resumes. You really need to have a lot of detail in order to get the necessary points and credit for what you have done, and that will help you with your application.
To show them, to demonstrate that you have that experience, you got to really work on showing that selecting official that, although it's not directly related, it's, the soft skills do cross, and it's given me the ability to go ahead and step into this role.
Great.
I think, the original question was, do you need experience for this particular level? And I think that can vary based on the job, based on the agency, based on the area of the country entirely. And I know, I'm an attorney now, but just as Stephanie said, when I was in college, I couldn't afford to volunteer or do anything. I was working as a waitress, I was working as a bartender, I was working in retail, and all of those things developed skills, particularly with customer service and communications with people and multitasking, that I still use today. And so, and when I got, my federal job, I knew that I wanted to work as an attorney for the federal government. I knew that it was a competitive thing. And I think I probably applied for maybe 50 different positions. The current office that I work at, when I got hired here, it was the third time I had applied to this particular office whenever I got this job. So I would encourage people to be intentional in the things that they put in their resume, probably add a page or two more to their resume than they currently have, because they're told to do a page or maybe 2 pages, but really a federal resume is probably 4 or 5 pages or more, depending on what you have, and getting into those real excruciating details and, developing sentences and things that outline these soft skills that you get, whether it's communicating with professors, communicating in working groups with your peers. You can really develop some of these skills and experiences in lots of things that you do that aren't like straight work experience. And I think that a lot of that can come across in a really good, well put together federal resume, and to encourage all the applicants, to just not give up. There is a place for you, and the time has to be right and the location has to be right. But if you keep pursuing it because it's what you want to do, and that it's going to be a fulfilling career, just keep at it, because an opportunity will present itself.
George, I would like to, say another thing. Education can qualify you for higher grade levels. Just depends if your degree is related to the position you're applying for, or, depending on your GPA, you can get superior academic achievement. So it really does depend on the occupation you're applying to. But yes, you can qualify for a GS7 with just education alone. It just depends on the occupation, if there's a positive education requirement or other things. But when you apply to a position, read the education requirements for each position you apply for. And that's how you start, strategizing how you're going to put your application together.
George, I'd like to add, I don't think we give enough significance to the things that we do during the summer or in our communities. If you organize a basketball tournament, if you are on a powwow committee, if you organize a bowling tournament, if you create flyers for those are really important things, and you can demonstrate your communication, your organization, but more importantly, responsibility, that you can create timelines, that you can organize, because those are valuable skills that an employer is looking for these days, that you're reliable, that you can do things on time, that you will do what you say you're going to do, that you can be tasked with the responsibility and follow through on it. So just because you aren't getting paid to do it, and just because it's something that's fun, that you enjoy doing, really analyze those, where you spend your time, and how you can incorporate those responsibilities into something productive.
Great, and thank you so much. We're coming in on the last 8 minutes of our session, and we have a few more questions we want to get through. But I will say, each one of the panelists, you all gave some really great advice. I hope that all the students were listening. We have another question. There's someone that's got 20 years plus legal experience, who is currently working as a FOIA analyst for the Bureau of Indian Affairs as a federal contractor Do you foresee any upcoming jobs with FOIA analysts?
Yes.
I would say to that, because I know that they're always seeking, FOIA is really, to me, if that's your thing, it's a lot of paperwork, and the central office is always looking for FOIA positions. There's not a lot of people specializing in that. And FOIA across every program when it's pushed down. But go ahead, Brandon.
I've just put a position in the chat that is specifically related to FOIA that just opened.
Great, thank you. And we've got a question here. What makes the applicant competitive? I guess this seems like a question like, how can an applicant become more competitive when applying? Does anyone want to provide some additional advice on that?
I was going to say, I think a lot of the advice that the panelists said on the last question, talking about the experiences that you have, would also go to making you competitive. You'll look better if your resume is more detailed and more put together. You'll look better and more competitive if you take all of those different accomplishments that you have in school, the organizations you're part of, you make all that more detailed, you show all those detailed things that you've done. I think that's part of what makes you more competitive. And I think I'll let Anthony go, but I think we gave some good advice on that already. I
was going to say something similar, but I also want to encourage that you don't just have one resume. Like, even if it is 5 pages, your resume needs to be geared towards that job. Yes, have a general 5-page resume, but look at the skills, what we call KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities on that application, and make sure your resume is matching up to what the job needs. Because the worst thing, and I've seen them, to get a resume that's very general, and I'm like, I think I could think that the person could do the job, but that's not my responsibility. I have to clearly see that the person can do the job. So have your general resume and then rewrite it and tailor it to the specific job.
Yeah, I would sometimes reorganize the positions that I had, or the bullet points under my individual positions based on what job I was applying to. So that's great advice.
There is a resume builder on USA Jobs as well. And you can store all your documents on USA Jobs, make 2 or 3 different resumes. Those HR rating officials need stuff to be written down. It has to be empirical, and there has to be dates and times on your resume. So like everybody said in the previous response, to be very detailed and over report things, because that'll help with your rating, with your HR rating, and help you compete for the jobs.
Really stick to the basics, because I've been on a couple hiring committees, and at least we're in the solicitor's office, and part of it is because we're hiring attorneys, but we also have administrative professionals, is the there's a first level of, do you meet the basic requirements of the job? And then say 70 people apply for a job, 30 people make it to the next level. And then a hiring committee is usually put out. Have somebody read your resume. Does it make English sense? Does it have typos? Does it look weird? It's shocking to me as a person who's been on a hiring committee that somebody's resume has typos in it or has misspelled words. And so, even if somebody doesn't know what you're applying for, or, just have them look at it for English sense and kind of those basics. Does it look nice? Does it read well? Those clean things really kind of catch you, I think.
One thing I would add is to, when you're looking at these different positions and you're applying, there's also usually a little survey that asks you to rate your skills. And I would also say, give yourself credit. I know, as a Native American, when I was filling out my job application and doing all of this stuff, I was like, I was not giving myself all the credit that I should have given myself. And, just really read through the questions, look at them, see how they apply to you. And if you think that you deserve credit in these different areas, give yourself credit.
If I may, George, make one final point. I understand that we're coming short on time. I know that everyone's really focusing on the resume portion of it. It's my understanding that there'll be a block tomorrow on writing an effective resume. One of the things that I would like to discuss is that during the application process, please ensure that you do some background on the location that you're applying at, whether it's a Google search, whether it's checking with individuals who are located in the area. See what you can find out about the situation there on the ground. Gather some background on what you'll be doing, look up the type of position that you're applying for, so that way you can prepare yourself for the interviewing process. And for those of you who, I'm certain that most people will be able to write a passable or an acceptable resume, but the next portion is going to be the interview. I think having that the information that I just provided you will help to set you apart from other individuals who may have applied, who don't have that background information and haven't educated themselves on the nature of the position they're applying for. Try to imagine to yourself, what would a day in the life of this job look like? So that way you can prepare yourself for your coming interview. The other component of it is once you do have your job interview, I would utilize the STAR format, which is whenever you are presented with a question, think of a situation in which the question that is being relevant, or rather the question that has been asked, a situation that's relevant to the question, the task that you had to perform in response to that situation, the actions that you took, and the result that show that you possess the skill set. And whether or not it's not the specific situation, if it can be something that is parallel or is similar, and you can demonstrate that you can come up with a solution, I think that will help a whole lot better than a canned answer or just to wing it on the fly. Come up with specific scenarios where you perform tasks related to the job that you're applying to and how you had success. Thank you, George.
Thank you. And I want to thank the entire panel. Whoever put this panel together assembled a true dream team for the Department of Interior. And you all shared some great information. I want to thank you all for all what you do, your service to the country, your service to the agency. And I hope for all the students in the audience that you really got something worthwhile out of this session. And hopefully it's going to help you to potentially begin a career in the Department of Interior. So thank you again, all the panelists, and I'll hand it back to our MC.
Thank you, George. That was a great panel. And only at Interior would you be able to work with all those agencies, because I had the opportunity to work with Fire when they gave me a ride down to Supai with OJS and working with them at the schools, and BIA. In fact, you can go to another agency like Gayla did. She was my coworker at one time. So I think that's, and then I have MOUs in process with National Park Service and USGS. So there's lots of opportunities. That was great. Our next panel is going to be about internship opportunities, and it will be led by Nicole Nixon from the Office of the Solicitor.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here today to lead the panel on the internship programs. We have a variety of different programs here at the Department of Interior, and it is one of my greatest opportunities to be able to participate with the internship program that we have for the Office of the Solicitor, but we will get into that a little bit later. We do have a presentation for you that we should be having slides put up on the screen. Great, thank you so much. So the first individuals, I'm going to introduce everyone, and they're going to talk a little bit about the programs with their specific bureaus. The first people that I would like to introduce would be Alicia Gomez and Mackenzie Neal. Alicia is from the U.S. Geological Survey, and Mackenzie is from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They're going to talk to us about the Pathways program, and I know there's a lot of interest in that, so I will turn this over to you.
Thank you, Nicole. My name is Alicia Gomez. I'm a human resources specialist with the U.S. Geological Survey. In my current role, I serve as the USGS Pathways Coordinator, and I know just from this morning, there's been a lot of questions about internships and how to apply for these opportunities. So me and my teammate Mackenzie, we're going to spend some time talking about the Pathways program, which is the federal government's internship program for both current students and recent graduates. There's many ways to work with or for the federal government. And so in the next 2 days, you're going to learn about a lot of these different avenues. And I love this session, that was before ours, that talked a lot about, I've applied for jobs. I will say the federal government is a very competitive process. So I would plead that you not give up and you look for those opportunities and identify, get lessons learned. We're going to talk about some, not only the Pathways programs, but like some important tips and tricks for you to make sure you follow when you're applying for these opportunities. So next slide, please. So the Pathways program offers paid opportunities for individuals to work for federal agencies while also exploring federal careers. These could be temporary or more long-term. The work schedules are flexible. And most importantly about the Pathways program is they could lead to permanent employment. I want to share my story because I'm a product of these internships, and I just celebrated my 30 years of service. I started in high school, participating in events similar to this, where they shared opportunities that were available, how to apply for these internships. I was hired and in high school, and it was initially advertised for a temporary internship. So they said, well, as long as you continue to go to school, you can stay working. Well, I didn't have any plans to go to college. I knew I had to graduate from high school. That's what my parents said. They never said you have to go to college. But with my work, because I enjoyed working, I enjoyed getting paid. I enrolled in my at my local college and was able to stay working part-time while going to school, and then had the flexibility to be able to work full-time during my summers and all of my breaks very easily. Although it was not ever guaranteed during my internship, when I completed my 4-year degree, I was offered a permanent position into a developmental human resources position with promotion potential. So just goes to show you that I'm a product, and it is something that's possible. Next slide, please. The Pathways programs has 3 different paths. The internship program is to provide current high school, college, or graduate students with opportunities to work in the federal agency while going to school. The internship programs can be short-term during the summer or year-round when you're attending school and working part-time. The information is listed in the individual job posting. So under the internship program, the student can continue to remain under working as for the agency as long as they continue to meet the requirements of the program, which is be a student enrolled in a degree seeking program. And there has to be a continued need for their services. The recent graduate program is a paid full-time 1-year developmental program that is designed to give individuals who are recently completed their undergrad or graduate degree, and the candidates must apply within 2 years of graduation. There is an exception for certain veterans, and that information is on the Office of Personnel Management's website. I will say, because I know there's a lot of students that are coming up to graduation here in May, June, is that you want to make sure you are reading the vacancy announcements, the job posting, because there are some recent graduate opportunities that are being posted that will say we are looking for either current students who plan to graduate this upcoming semester, or recent graduates who have graduated within the last 2 years. But all of this information is going to be listed on the announcement, so it's important that you read through that information. The Presidential Management Fellow Program is the federal government's premier leadership development program for advanced degree candidates. These are opportunities that are open to professional or graduate level degree students, and recent graduates have to have completed their degree within the last 2 years. The PMF program, Presidential Management Fellow, is managed by the Office of Personnel Management. So each year, and this is typically in August, September, the candidates apply to the program and they go through a rigorous process to be selected as finalists. If you want more information, you can Google pmf.gov and there'll be information on additional information on the PMF program. These pathway programs are designed to streamline the hiring process. So it's to provide a level playing field for entry-level candidates. This is to attract individuals, students, and recent graduates who may have the education but have some limited experience or no experience. So the Pathways program is intended to allow both students and recent graduates to explore careers related to their field of study. I will say, in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wasn't like, oh, my dream job is to work in human resources. I didn't even start in human resources. I started in an administrative field, providing clerical support as a high school student. And my passion was helping people. So that's how I got into the human resources. I think that if it weren't for the federal government and the experiences and the mentors that I had during my high school early years, I don't know if I would have even have gone to college. So this is an opportunity to allow you to explore the different careers and different opportunities. The federal government gives you some great opportunities to be able to learn different things and explore different experiences, really. So next slide. So now that I got you all excited and you're like, I want to be a Pathways intern or a recent graduate, all pathway opportunities for the federal government are advertised on USA Jobs. So this is the government's portal for posting job opportunities. And you're going to get some information this afternoon and tomorrow about navigating USA Jobs. So I hope that you'll be able to attend these sessions. Federal agencies determine how they're going to post their opportunities. So they determine, federal agencies, hiring managers determine what their needs are. For example, some agencies may advertise internship opportunities year-round. Some may advertise only for a time limited, for summer only kind of opportunities. These are typically open for a specific period of time. So when you're in the session on navigating USA Jobs, you're going to learn how to establish an account, how to search for job opportunities, and then most importantly, how to sign up to receive notification when these opportunities become available. And so because these are open for a specific period of time, you want to make sure that you sign up to receive notification when these jobs are posted. It's important that you read these announcements. So one of the lessons learned from working in human resources is that applicants sometimes don't read the entire vacancy announcement. And I know there's a lot of mumbo jumbo language that you're like, what are you trying to say? But there's also a point of contact listed on the announcement where you can ask specific questions if you have questions about the job opportunity. Some things that you want to take a look at is eligibility. So eligibility will say who can apply for these opportunities. So if you are a current student and you are enrolled in a degree seeking program, then you would meet the eligibility requirements for an internship. If the second thing is qualifications, the qualification requirements spell out what are the requirements of the position. Some of them you can qualify based on education alone. Some of them you may need education and experience, but you'll want to look at the qualifications. And then the last piece is required documents. In order to apply for a pathways opportunity, the Human Resources Office needs to be able to determine that you meet the eligibility requirements. So whereas in the private sector, you might be able to say, I'm a student enrolled in a degree, this is my major and this is my graduation date. Because the eligibility requirements are very specific, you need to provide transcripts that show you meet those requirements. An official transcript. So it's important that you prepare for these opportunities before you're applying. Next slide, please. So for the Pathways internship program, there's some eligibility requirements. These are the basic eligibility requirements, but I want to let you know that each agency may have their own additional requirements. So they may have a higher grade point average, or they may have a specific age requirement. So remember to make sure you review the eligibility requirements to see that you qualify for the position. Next slide. Here's a qualification table that gives you a general idea about the possible pay scales that are offered for federal employment. And this is just based on a candidate's level of education. The general schedule, GS pay schedule, is probably one of our most popular pay systems in the federal government. So you'll see that when you're looking at job opportunities and looking to apply for opportunities, if you are a undergrad who has 2 years of college education, the positions that you want to be looking at applying for it are at the GS4 level. I will say if there's an opportunity that's posted at the GS3, 4, 5 grade level, you want to apply for all grade levels so that you receive the full consideration. That's the first step in the application process. If you're offered a position, you can always request that you want higher salary from those grades that you applied for. So you can request that. Next slide. And then when you're applying for internship opportunities under the Pathways program, this is typically what would be required. You need to provide unofficial transcripts. You need to provide proof that you're currently enrolled in a degree-seeking program, or that you've been accepted for enrollment. This is a question we get a lot from students who are either in their associate program or their bachelor's program and they're applying for a master's program. We need proof that you have been accepted for enrollment or currently enrolled. And that sometimes could just be transcripts that show you have current enrollment. But sometimes we need additional information if that information is not listed. For the recent graduate program, you have to be a recent graduate. So your transcripts need to show that you have completed your degree, or we need some type of documentation that shows you've completed your degree requirements. And you want to make sure that you've provided all the requested documents in order to ensure that you receive the consideration. So now I'm going to move this over to Mackenzie Neal from Bureau of Indian Affairs, and she's going to give you some additional information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next slide would be great. So yes, my name is Mackenzie Neal, and I am 4 weeks into a new job here at BIA. It's my first government job. I am the Pathways Program Manager for BIA Office of Trust Services. So I'm learning all this stuff new, just like you all. And as someone who's done a ton of federal internships back in my college days, I can say that Pathways, you can't go wrong. It's an excellent opportunity. It helps you climb that GS ladder quickly. And so when it comes to actually applying, there are a few other things you can do to really prepare yourself. First and foremost, it's going to be said a lot of times, but USA Jobs is key. Go ahead today, make a profile if you don't have one. You can have a profile and not apply to anything. So it's better to have that in place and prepared. So if you happen to come across an opportunity that's a great fit, you can apply really quickly. In my case, for the job I just started, I only saw the posting 2 days before the deadline, right? So luckily I already had a USA Jobs account in place. I had my master resume uploaded. So all I had to do was click a few things, copy and paste a few things, and I applied. So to make sure that you can maximize your opportunities and you don't miss out on anything while you miss a deadline or something, just go ahead and make it. And like others have said, there will be a session on how to do that later today. Another little thing that you can do is every semester at the start or the end, go ahead and download copies of your transcripts, proof of current enrollment, which might be your class schedule. Just get that in a document file on your computer. Like that way you don't have to constantly rush, try to get all your stuff while the school systems are down. It just makes it a lot easier. So if you consistently update your transcript, your proof of enrollment, and constantly have like an updated resume in your back pocket, you'll be great. Another little thing that might help is if your school has a career services department, go ahead and consult with them. They often will provide services such as reviewing resumes, helping identify opportunities, and that's a really easy way to take advantage of services that you might not have thought of before that can help you be more competitive when it comes to getting your first internship with the government. So yeah, refresh your resume, make sure you have your documents prepared, and also really do consider using the USA Jobs Resume Builder tool that's in the website itself. In general, it's a lot easier to read and it prevents any weird formatting issues when a reviewer is looking for candidates. So you'll again hear about that later. Next slide, please. Awesome, thanks. Another little thing is on top of the toolbar in USA Jobs is an awesome help tool that contains a lot of the information we're already covering today. But among those tips is that the point of contact listed on your job application that you're going for on USA Jobs, on the listing, there's a point of contact. That person can answer any questions you have, as Alicia said earlier. So once your application is submitted, you've taken the first step in getting your internship. Awesome job. What happens? There is a lengthy process on the back end that HR goes through, but this is basically the list of steps that you need to worry about. So you submit your application into the void of USA Jobs. Luckily, someone in HR will find you. The system is great at getting excellent candidates reviewed, and you will have a hiring manager who reviews your application personally. After they go through your resume and see if you're a good fit, you might be contacted for an interview. Usually communication tends to happen over email, so make sure that you mark USA Jobs as not spam, or double check your different tabs if you're using, for example, Google. You'll have an updates tab, it might get filtered there. So really make sure that your email is up to speed and you have your phone and everything's great. You don't want to miss this communication. If you have references, they will be contacted to make sure you're a real person. It'll be great. And then eventually you'll be notified, contacted for that interview. And if it's all a good fit, you might be offered the job. That's great. So then you kind of enter a very strange pre-employment process. I know I just did it 3 weeks ago. And it's kind of the stage between that hiring and the actual entry on duty date. Mostly you can expect to fill out a ton of forms and some back and forth conversations between you and your hiring manager or HR rep. But after that, you'll get your offer. The background investigation, if you need one, will be conducted. You'll finish all that paperwork and you'll get to the onboarding process. So it all kind of takes, it can take up to 3 weeks. It can take months, depending on your role, depending on the security clearance level. But ultimately, the experience will be a good one. Again, Pathways is fantastic, and it is what you make of it. So throughout this entire process, it's very important that you take initiative, that you are determining your own experience and make sure that you're following up with your HR contacts. You are making sure you're in communication consistently. If you haven't heard from people, don't assume that it's, being taken care of. Really do make sure that you're following up, because maybe they're waiting for a document that you forgot to upload. But in general, The HR folks will take care of you and you can work on getting your internship with the government. Next slide, please. So again, your resources here are the Department of Interior website and the Students and Recent Graduates section of OPM. These are great websites just to get the basics of what was talked about today. And next slide, please. And with that, I think we are good to switch on to the next group.
Thank you so much, both Alicia and Mackenzie, for giving us that great overview on pathways. It is a lot of information for you to absorb today, but there's no test. So you don't have to worry about answering all of these questions later, but we are here to answer your questions for you. So please remember that there is a chat bubble at the bottom of your screen. This is question and answers. Please drop those questions in there so that we can get to all of your questions at the end of the presentation. The next program that we're going to talk about is from the Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement, and that is OSMRE for short. And we're going to have Sathian Suvakumarian, I think I said this appropriately, to join us now. He's going to turn on his camera and give you a little bit of information about one of the programs that his office has.
Thanks, Nicole. And so my name is Sathian Sivakumaran. It is a long name, so no worries. I am the Youth Program Officer at the Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement, another mouthful, so, within the Department of the Interior. And so before I start talking about our AmeriCorps program and wanting to be conscious of time as well, I want to give a quick snapshot into what OSMRE does. And so we are an agency that was formed as a result of the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act of 1977. And we're tasked with working with states and tribal program partners to balance environmental health needs, as well as the health of humans in relation to the environment and energy production needs of the country. So this is kind of divided into different titles, as we call them. And so Title 5 is related to our active coal mining. And so this is oversight and regulation of the active coal mining, ensuring safety requirements are being met. And then the division that I actually work under is Title 4, which is the reclamation of legacy coal mining sites. So these are adverse kind of effects that are resulting from legacy coal mining. So think of maybe acid mine drainage or mine spoil piles. And additionally, there is a training component that we have as well that's connected with collaborating with our state and tribal program partners to make sure that they're well equipped to address the problems at hand. But with all that, we have our AmeriCorps program, and I'm highlighting this program because it's one of, I would say, one of the most effective pathways into our agency specifically, but also the federal government. And so who are our AmeriCorps members? So they are, as you can see here, they're young adults, ages 17 plus, US citizenship is required. And requirements will vary. You might need a bachelor's degree depending on the projects. And so projects are intensive and, as I mentioned, can vary. There are some examples here: acid mine drainage treatment, GIS mapping, as well as some policy work, and there can even be AmeriCorps projects that are communications related. And I will say also that this is kind of an exciting time to work with the Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement, because with the recently passed bipartisan infrastructure law, we are really tackling a lot of the coal mining problems with an additional funding of, I believe, around $11.3 billion. So a pretty significant chunk of change. Additionally, our AmeriCorps members serve year-long terms. And so I'll just say that just if you want to mark your calendars, we're likely going to have probably 7 AmeriCorps projects that we'll start recruiting for in, I would say June. And so these will be terms that would start, likely we'd have a member selected, ready to start by September or October. And you'll find those opportunities on our website. And so lastly, just to mention also the hiring authorities, which will be discussed tomorrow, I believe. And so there are a couple hiring authorities that you'll be able to receive at the end of your term of service. And this can also really help things along after you finish your term of service if you're interested in entering the federal government, specifically with Department of the Interior, or I believe Department of Agriculture as well. And lastly, just so where the AmeriCorps members are served, you can see our office locations that list as well. And finally, just wanted to quickly highlight a couple AmeriCorps members' experiences, because they can vary. And most recently, we have at the top, you'll see Sharissa Hogan. She was she worked on the National Environmental Policy Act requirements that we had with the Office of Surface Mining. She was an AmeriCorps member during COVID, and so she served her entire term from her home and just completed great work for us, and ended up finishing her term of service and getting a position with the Department of Navy, working with emergency preparedness. And below her is Diego Ramirez, who was an AmeriCorps member with OSMRE, and is now one of my coworkers who basically stated that without his AmeriCorps service, he would have likely never had a career with the federal government. So it really introduced him to new opportunities and the potential work that he could have with the federal government. And so with that, sorry for any technical issues, and I'll pass it back over to Nicole.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you giving us that information. And that is very helpful information to our audience. As you can see, we have success stories that go along with it. We want to make sure that you are feeling comfortable and excited about the Department of Interior and the pathway that you could potentially have for federal employment. We're going to go to the next slide, please, and we're going to introduce George McDonald. He is with the National Park Service. He's going to discuss some of the programs that they have there.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess you guys are probably tired of hearing my voice after the previous session that we just had, but I have listed here some of our internship programs, but this is not comprehensive of all the particular opportunities that we have in the National Park Service. And we do have some additional opportunities potentially for that target Native Americans. I'd like to recommend that you all email Ernestine White it's Ernestine_White@nps.gov. And she runs all of our national intern programs, and she can give you additional information that might be relevant. But I'll go through this list. So we have the Historically Black Colleges and University Intern Program. And I like to say that the programs on this particular list are non-federal internships, but what they are, we partner with nonprofit organizations known as service corps. And through those relationships, we collaboratively develop projects and programs that for undergraduate, graduate students, young people, and you work on these projects in national parks. And we typically have, in a non-COVID year, over 7,000 participants. And we also have special hiring authorities that are attached to these intern programs. So we either utilize the Public Land Non-Competitive Hiring Authority or the Resource Assistance Direct Hire Authority, which you'll find out more about those authorities in other sessions later on in the program. But our Historically Black Colleges and University Intern Program targets undergraduate and graduate students attending historically Black colleges with a focus on natural and cultural resource conservation internships, with some focus on historic preservation and interpretation. But they also run a gamut in communications, outreach, some science research. So these are very diverse in the opportunities. Typically, we have between 45 and 50 people that participate in this program. Another program is a Community Volunteer Ambassadors Program in the CVA. This is a year-long program where we kind of target people who have just finished their undergrad degrees, but they haven't really started grad school, trying to figure it out. And this gives you an opportunity to work for a year at a national park, serving as a volunteer ambassador, helping to organize all the events, programming, interaction with the volunteers that come to our national parks on a daily basis. And we have probably hundreds of thousands of people who volunteer in national parks. So this is a very significant program, but what it also does is it helps you to understand how a park operates. You get involved in a lot of activity development, programmatic development. You get to see all different aspects of how a park operates. And this is a program that has a fairly high success rate of conversion. So people that do really good in these programs, they get exposure, and potential hiring managers see them. It's like, hey, I want to get this person, and we have a special hiring authority attached to that. The American Sign Language Conservation Corps program specifically targets deaf and hard of hearing people. So we have programs that work both in a conservation crew team and also in individual placements. And we also have another program that we have piloted with the Conservation Legacy, which is one of our partner organizations. And this program also targets people with disabilities. And Ernestine White can also provide you more details about that particular program. In that program, that's a special partnership with Mitsubishi Corporation. And so you can have a wide range of disabilities so long as they would qualify if you were to apply as a Schedule A in the federal government, which would mean that you would have to have a recognized disability, either physical or mental, that has a doctor's note. The Cultural Resource Diversity Intern Program, we target diverse people in this program, and this has a very big focus on history, historic research, cultural resource preservation. People who are Native American, we do a lot of work. There are about 45 parks that border on tribal nations. So there's a lot of interaction that we do with tribal nations regarding artifacts, artifact restoration, research, you name it, developing programming around cultural resources. That's what this program focuses on: undergrad, graduate students. The Historic Preservation Internship Program, very similar to the Cultural Resource Diversity Intern Program, except it doesn't necessarily have the diversity and inclusion focus, but I would highly recommend applying for this. And you also get into a lot of work around developing the documentation for, let's say, a historic structure, and all that would go into whether or not this particular structure could qualify as a national landmark or get on the National Register for Historic Places, things of that nature. The Latino Heritage Intern Program and the LHIP, similar to our HBCU program, where there is a wide range of kind of positions. We tend to have about 40 to 45 participants in this program annually. And while it targets people of Hispanic descent, it's open to people of mixed descents. So this is another program. We do a lot in communications in this as well. So these programs, we typically have 4 to 5 interns that work in our communications offices. And a number of people, quite a few people from this program have also been converted. Our Historic Preservation Training Center Traditional Trades Apprenticeship Program, this has an internship component, and it also has a manual labor and vocational training component. But this focuses on how we preserve our historic structures throughout the National Park Service. So we've got probably over 1 million structures that could be deemed historic. And this training center specializes in in carpentry, brick masonry, stone masonry, but also the research around these structures. And so they handle all the restoration that occurs at the White House. And so when we do restoration projects, typically there's an intern or someone who has to do primary research, or what was the color of the paint and those sorts of things. So great opportunities. And this is a very important sector to be involved in, because there's not a lot of diversity in historic preservation, but there are a lot of opportunities, and we need greater diversity in this so that we can be mindful of all of the mosaic of culture that we have in this country that needs preservation. And then the Mosaics and Science program that targets the STEM career fields in the National Park Service, with an emphasis on diversity recruitment. So this is a very intentional program where we target people from diverse backgrounds for the hard sciences. Where in the National Park Service, I would say we're not doing a good job with hiring in this field from a diversity standpoint, while there are a lot of positions, and those positions and the opportunities are consistently growing, especially as we look at how we're combating the adverse impacts of climate change. So I think that I have gotten through my presentation. I hope that I have stayed within the time limits, Nicole, and if I haven't, I apologize.
Thank you so much, George. Very interesting. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of follow-up for Ernestine after this event is over. So we are so grateful for you and your time with this event today. So we're going to move on to another office or bureau, and that's going to be the Fish and Wildlife Service. And this presentation is going to be done by Nate Hawley. And we have a special guest with Nate, Brittany Chavaret. She will be presenting with him as well. I'll turn it over to the two of you guys.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for having us, everyone. I'll introduce myself. My name is Nate Hawley. I work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service at the National Conservation Training Center. And Brittany, would you like to introduce yourself at this point?
Sure. Thank you, Nate. Hinamam Kima Herimba. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brittany Chavaria, and I am from the Pueblo of Isleta, here with Ancestral Lands Conservation Corps.
Thanks, Brittany. So we want to run through 3 programs that are kind of unique to Fish and Wildlife Service. Well, actually 2 of them are. And just to keep in mind too, that we are a big family at the Department of the Interior. So many of the programs that others have presented, like Pathways, like some of the things that George has mentioned, working with partners and some of the other ones, PMF and recent grads and things like that, that applies to all of us. So we took turns on figuring out which programs we could highlight for you, knowing that all of these programs apply across many of the bureaus. So one of the programs that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife has is within the Public Land Corps Act. And it is actually in the act called the Resource Assistant Internship Program. But at Fish and Wildlife, we refer to that as the Directorate Fellows Program. But basically, here's the rundown on the slide. It's an 11-week summer project. It's an internship. We call it a fellowship because it's a little bit more rigorous than maybe a typical internship. that you might find. And what that does, and you can see some of the program requirements there, but what it does is that it gives an idea for the students to really see and feel what it's like to work for Fish and Wildlife Service. So it exposes you to the staff, to some of the resource issues that we're working on in the culture that the Fish and Wildlife has. And, you know, a lot of the bureaus have their own specific culture. Our mission is solely based around conservation of plants, animals, and their habitats. So we're mission driven around conserving our natural resources. But after you complete that fellowship, you do receive 2 years of a direct hire authority. And the intent of the program is to focus on students at minority serving institutions and females, to bring diverse students and females into public service with Fish and Wildlife. You know, and it goes both ways. So we're trying to recruit you, but you're also checking us out too. Is this a place I want to work? So you'll get some information after the fact about how to apply and where to go and where to find this. Unfortunately, this this wave for 2022 is already closed. We finish up the selection process a couple of weeks ago, but do look for the 2023 announcement, which should be coming out around the Thanksgiving time, and we'll make sure to ping everybody that is on this workshop so you're well aware of the announcement before it reaches you or before it posts. So next slide, please. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Indian Youth Service Corps, but I'm not going to talk about this too much because Brittany is actually in the Indian Youth Service Corps through a partner that she mentioned, the Ancestral Lands Program. So I'll leave some of the details to her when I get through some of the overview. But the Indian Youth Service Corps is another public land corps authority to really target Native and indigenous students, to bring them into public service. So it's a focus on tribes and looking at placing them either in crews, you know, working together in small crews. Maybe it's doing trail maintenance or working on a refuge or at a fish hatchery, or individual placements, kind of like an internship. So you might be placed with a refuge or an office or a field site, working with staff to accomplish a variety of different tasks, from, you know, office work to policy work to field work as well. Visitor services, working with partners in the public. It's both for students and non-students, recent graduates as well. And the program requirements are 18 to 30 years old or under 35 if you're a veteran. The goal of all of these programs really is to give you a leg up, right? To provide you skill sets and resume building tools that will make you more competitive, but then also to give you special hiring authorities that make you even more competitive than that. So when you dive into the whole world of USA jobs and you start looking at all the things you can click to make you a little bit more competitive in the ranking order, if you were in one of the two programs, you would be able to click more buttons and you would rise higher to the certification list in front of managers. Next slide, please. Where I work at the National Conservation Training Center in West Virginia, we do have an annual Native Youth Climate Adaptation and Leadership Congress. Now, this is primarily focused for high school students. So if you have any folks that you're mentoring or siblings or, you know, relatives or friends and family that might fit into this category, this would be for rising seniors in high school. So students that are between their junior and senior year, and they would come here, fully expense paid, to NCTC to be amongst their peers, to go through a number of trainings and workshops, and many of them would hook you up with partners or introduce you to the world of public service through the federal government, and like what we're doing here, providing you kind of the inside scoop on how to get into the service or any of the other bureaus if you're interested in pursuing that pathway. There's also an opportunity with this event to apply as a mentor, and we look for college age students that would be willing to mentor and work with the high school students. So it's kind of giving back, right? You're giving back and you're being a mentor, and you're kind of sharing your experience and your path and helping others to find their path as well. So next slide, I'm going to turn it over to Brittany, and I think this is a good time for Brittany to share her experience, because she's actually in working with Ancestral Lands program, which is one of our partners in the Southwest. So I'll turn it over to Brittany now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nate. So like he mentioned, just talking a little bit more about the organization that I am coming from, as well as how my experience has been so far in this internship. And like he mentioned as well, we are based in the Southwest, and we partner with other organizations besides the Indian Youth Service Corps, but along with other agencies within the Department of Interior, just to name a few: the Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, and then U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which is the agency that my host site is under, Valle de Oro National Wildlife Refuge, located in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So just a little bit of background as to how I was introduced to the refuge. I was at its establishment in 2012. A couple of years later, I had my very first job as a crew member on a conservation crew with Talking Talons Youth Leadership. From that experience, I definitely feel like I found my passion and knew that I had always wanted to do something in conservation, solely just to work in the outdoors. I really loved it. More recently, I graduated with my associates in anthropology to help further my goals and my path in that career. So when the opportunity came to me with Ancestral Lands, I knew right away that I wanted to jump on that. Not only to continue establishing that relationship that I had built with the refuge and the land that it was on, but also with the community that surrounded the refuge. So I am a part of the Visitor Services Individual Placement Program. The Individual Placement Program is who I'm with, but I help the Visitor Services team here at the refuge. One of the biggest goals that I had set for myself, going back to me really wanting to establish or continue that relationship that I had established with the refuge, one of my biggest goals was to help better the connection or build a stronger relationship between the community that I come from to the refuge, because they are a neighbor to the refuge. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. One of the projects that I've helped to co-create has really helped to build that connection, or to build on that relationship. I'm sorry. So I helped to co-create the Summer Hiking Club program with a Pueblo of Isleta, specifically for the youth. So with doing that, we are able to expose them to the outdoors, to teach them a little bit about what it is that I do, tell them about and inspire them to look into careers in conservation, and then also just do some fun stuff with them, like hiking, teach them about hiking preparedness and other things about the outdoors. But another thing that I have really loved about this opportunity is that it helps me to be a role model and to give back to my community and to the youth in my community, but it also helps me to bring a different perspective to the refuge and to the place that I work in, and provide a cultural perspective. Yeah, that has been my experience so far.
Thank you so much, Brittany. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to talk just for a quick second, if we can go to the next slide, about the Solicitor's Office internship program. So the legal intern and externship program that we have 3 semesters normally. Currently, we are accepting applications until May 1st for the fall of 2022. This is a great opportunity if you're interested in, if you're in law school and you're interested in seeing what it would be like to practice law in the federal government. This is an opportunity for you to sit in on and create briefings, work with different offices. Right now, our program is currently virtual, which has been really interesting and challenging in some parts, but we have been able to maintain a virtual internship program for the entire pandemic. We have had a lot of success with that. It is an opportunity for you to use your legal knowledge that you're currently receiving while you're in school. In order to be eligible, you would have to be a student enrolled in school as in a law school and or law program at this current time. And then you would be able to submit some documentation, and I have that listed on the slides, but if you go to our website, which is also listed on the slides, and they're going to drop that in the chat, and we have provided links to all of the programs, you will be able to see the additional information that you'll need to do. But the cool things, Valerie Geibel and Stephanie Kiger, they are co-workers of mine with the Office of the Solicitor, and you heard the fabulous things that they're doing. Valerie is actually one of the POCs for our internship program in Tulsa, so she currently has an intern working with her now. So that will be an opportunity for you to see the awesome things that we're doing. We are the legal office for the department, so we have everything from acquisitions and intellectual property. We do all of the employment and labor law issues and grievances for the department. We also work with the Division of Indian Affairs. We work with the Indian Trust Litigation Office. We work with a variety of different entities, water, mineral resources. So those are just to name a few areas where we are giving you the opportunity to find out how you can get in on the ground floor of protecting the nation's natural and cultural resources. If we can go on to the next slide, I'm going to introduce Dr. Catherine Campbell, who has been a wonderful MC for us today. She's going to talk a little bit about some other opportunities other than internships. There's some scholarship opportunities for you students that are in school currently.
Thank you, Nicole. Yes, so the Bureau of Indian Education doesn't directly give out scholarships at this time. We have a vendor, American Indian Graduate Center in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that does award 3 scholarships that we fund. One is the Science Postgraduate Scholarship Fund. Another is the BIE Special Higher Education Program, and the BIE Loan for Service. So under the Science Postgraduate Scholarship Fund, and all the deadlines are in June this year, that offers an opportunity to have an internship and with funds from that scholarship. So you could have an internship paid for one of the various agencies in DOI or outside. It's law, as long as it's STEM related. So that's one program. There, the Special Higher Ed program is for graduate students. And we try to prioritize tribal college and university students, but all students who are members of federally recognized tribes are eligible. The BIE Loan for Service is, we are targeting education people. We need teachers, like Shannon said today. So we would like people to apply. You would get your degree and then give back in service, in years of service at one of our schools or tribal colleges. So those are also open if we don't fill them with educators. So we also have professional development for STEM educators. So if you're in a tribal college as a faculty or staff, or if you're at one of our K-12 schools, you can apply for professional development. We're hoping that some of our tribal colleges will host that for our schools. If not, if it's in STEM, you can attend. Also, if you are, say, in a K-12 and you're education technician and you want to become a teacher, in, say, computer science or math or science, you can use the Science Postgraduate Scholarship Fund to get your degree anywhere. And then we also have funding for the professional examinations after, if you were going to be a medical doctor or any other field that has a professional exam, that will pay for it. So those are all available at aigcs.org, and you can always contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. We really appreciate it. And everyone needs free money to be able to continue their education. So this is something that we want everybody to take advantage of, to be able to further your education and make your way to the Department of Interior. We have Brooke back now. She lost her connection, so she's back. So we're going to have Brooke.
Okay, sorry about that. My name is Brooke Wheeler. I am the Bureau of Land Management Arizona's Youth, Environmental Education and Volunteer State Lead. And in my position, I also provide information about internships. I'm also a member of the Navajo Nation. One of those programs we have is the Direct Hire Internship Program, which is very similar to some of the other internship programs that you've heard about. I'm going to put the coordinator, Sharon Barnes Fuller's information into the chat so you can contact her about this. We are actually in the process of selecting our summer interns for the Direct Hire program. It's an 11-week rigorous program for college students, which leads to a direct hire status after you graduate and you finish your internship at the same time, or graduate and then you also have finished your internship. There's the requirements there. Sharon Barnes Fuller, like I said, is the coordinator for that. We have also other internship programs, the Public Land Corps program, which is very similar to some of the other ones that you've heard about, which is conservation on public lands, and where you work on public lands and you receive a direct Public Land Corps hiring status with that as well. We also have, Nathan mentioned this, the Native Youth Climate Adaptation Leadership Congress. We also recruit college students for that. So if you're interested in our Public Land Corps, our DHJ program, our Pathways program, our NICAL college student program, please contact me. And also for the DHJ program, contact Sharon. Also, I got this position that I'm in currently today because I was part of the Direct Hire program. I absolutely love this program. I never thought that in a million years I would be working in the fields of conservation or environmental education, but I am thanks to this wonderful program. So that's what I have. Please contact us if you need more information.
Thank you so much. I'm going to bring in Kelly Sewell. She's with the Office of Human Capital, and she's going to give us a just wrap up of all of these programs. And I know we're getting close, very short on time. We are actually 2 minutes over. So I have 2 questions after Kelly.
Sure, Nicole. I don't have much more to add to what the other program managers have added. I just wanted to, attest that, these programs work and it's a great way to get your foot in the door to a federal career. Like Alicia and Sathian and many others, I'm a product of the programs that we're advocating for and we're promoting today. So we know that it works and we know that you can have a really rewarding career at DOI by participating in one of these programs. So definitely reach out to the panelists, check out our websites and all the information you'll be getting. We're short on time, so I do want to pass it back to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kelly. We do have a couple of questions. This is for Nate or Brittany. If you, have we already missed the measurement period or the deadline for the IYSC program?
It's a rolling program, and I expect that the Indian Youth Service Corps program would have a couple of announcements going out in the next couple of weeks. And Conservation Legacy is the umbrella organization that Ancestral Lands program falls under, and that's the program that Brittany's in currently. So how it works with partners is the federal agencies partner with a nonprofit group, and then the nonprofit group then posts the announcement. So Conservation Legacy is a great partner to check back on. It's conservationlegacy.org to find those programs, and you can find programs with Forest Service and all the bureaus in Interior as well.
Thank you so much. There was another question about the legal internship program. It asked if you could participate if you're in undergraduate school. You do have to currently be enrolled in law school in order to be eligible for the program. So if you have any additional questions, we did post a document at additional links. There are a couple of issues with 2 of the links. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. My email address is nicole.nixon, nicole.nixon@sol.doi.gov. And I will facilitate all of your questions if you have any additional ones to our presenters today. I want to thank and give a rousing applause to the group that I had today. This has been my pleasure and my honor to be able to serve with you guys today. It is an amazing opportunity that we have to be able to give these opportunities to students and to be able to bring these type of events to the community. So if there's anything that we can do, we're here to help, and just know that there's a place for you here at DOI. Thank you so much. I'll turn it over to Catherine.
Thank you, Nicole. That was a great job. So we will go next to Tammy Poitras, the Regional Director for the Midwest Regional Office in the Bureau of Indian Affairs. In the DOI, we have these long titles, so she's going to make some closing remarks. Ms. Poitras?
Alrighty, thank you. So good afternoon. I want to start with a huge thank you to all of today's participants. You have heard today from some great leaders that one time in their career planning were in the same place that you are maybe today. The one thing in common is that they all knew they wanted to be part of something much bigger and make a difference. We chose to be government employees working in a field that isn't just work, but feels that we have a deep passion to provide solutions for the many issues at hand that we deal with. You have seen some of the mission critical occupations and discussions on internships with the Department of Interior today. Realize these are not all of the career fields within the department. Basically, if there's something that you really love to do, there's an occupation out there for you in the Department of Interior. Finally, I want to thank all of the panelists today. George McDonald with NPS did a wonderful job leading the panel on mission critical occupations, and Nicole Nixon with the Solicitor's Office leading internship opportunities shared a vast amount of information that I truly hope broaden your insights to job opportunities with the Department of Interior. I wish the best to all of you here today in your pursuit of joining the Department of Interior. And I hope that all of the information shared today will help you discover your opportunities. I look forward to seeing you back tomorrow as we have a ton of additional information to assist you. So with that, thank you for attending today's session, and I will turn it back to Dr. Campbell.
Thank you, Ms. Poitras. I would just like to say thank you everyone for attending, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.